Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. Welcome to tradertv.live. North American stock futures once again pointing back to the upside today after reversing early gains yesterday. We saw all North American markets back in negative territory just slightly to end the session, but markets still trying to digest the latest developments of the COVID-19 outbreak, with U.S. cases now topping 400,000 as of this morning. Some analysts also kind of weighing in this morning, saying that economic impact from the outbreak is set to weigh on the economy overall well into the second quarter. All three U.S. major indexes have now rallied as much as 20% off the lows that we saw just back on March 23rd. We're seeing some airline stocks leading things to the upside this morning. Some of the travel and leisure companies as well, some cruise line operators back in positive territory today. We have a whole bunch of stocks related to the outbreak, vaccine names, some equipment maker names also back in positive territory today, which is nice to see. Energy stocks pretty flat, along with crude oil to start the morning, ahead of U.S. weekly crude oil inventory numbers coming up at 10:30. Asian markets were lower overnight, with Europe also trading in the red. It is Wednesday, April 8th, 2020. TraderTV.live starts now. And there we go. Look at North American stock futures here as we head towards the open just under 30 minutes to go before we get things rolling. S&P 500 up more than 1% now. Things getting better even as we speak here. The Dow up 1.3%. The NASDAQ full percent as well to the upside. TSX futures here in Toronto about 1% to the upside. Look at Bitcoin having a nice day, 2 and change percent to the upside. Crude oil did catch a bit of a bounce there. It was basically flat when I sat down this morning, but back to the upside as well. And gold, nice to see back in positive territory. Also, busy morning, lots to get to this morning, guys. We have Mies Schneider coming by from Market Gauge at 11:40. We have Alex Bowles coming by in a few minutes here to talk about the NEO exchange here in Toronto and all things happening in the Canadian landscape. It's Wednesday. It's a short week, holiday week. Obviously, we'll be off on Friday. And I think it's a half day on Thursday as well in the U.S. We'll have to confirm that. But good morning, guys.
Actually, I'm not sure about that, but
good
morning. It's going to be a good one today. We bounced twice off that 2630 level on the ES. That, of course, was a resistance before, and in the pre-market here, bouncing upside now. We're almost flat, and then we got up to over 1% on the market. It's going to jump right into some of the numbers from yesterday. Day trade the world, big ones here. Someone pulling out of the CME, 80,000. This is just a top trader in an individual market. So in the CME, they're 83,000. London, $26,000 was made. NASDAQ, you can see 17.5. Germany, once again, near the top of the leaderboard, someone pulling over 16,000 out of that market. Same thing with NYSE American, formerly the Amex, and then Canada and New York, both at 14,000. So the numbers continue to be excellent in this heightened volatility. It should be another good one today. There is a lot of volume right now in some of these pre-market names. Of course, if you're looking at IQ, after this short seller report, actually their CEO was talking on CNBC there earlier, and actually popped the stock about 20 or 30 cents, but it's done 2 million shares. MBRX has done a bunch of shares as well, almost 20 million. It's going to be a wild one this morning, Sean.
Yeah, we'll fix that streaming. That music apparently was too loud, so we'll get that fixed. And thank you very much for all that. Yeah, look, we're here, guys. We're in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We're going to be broadcasting live for you every single day that we're allowed to trade here. I think it's a full day on Thursday, but we will double check that. But it won't affect the show, of course, because we're going live every day till 12 o'clock. Again, like you said, Mies Schneider from Market Gauge coming through. We're looking at this MBRX right now that's breaking above 150 here. So the pre-market high, 164. We were shorting it with some of you guys, modern investors there. Shout out to you on the chat. We were short 140 and out a bit here, 135, 133. I don't think I got out at 130. No, that's still pending. We take a little bit more right now. But MBRX, look at this, guys, 171%. I'm already short, waiting to see what happens up here at 165.
I joined you on that, Sean. I was just double checking there. Yeah, it is actually a full day on Thursday. It's our office here, guys, that is a half day for us on Thursday. But show will be fine. We'll be here for the entire show on Thursday. So lots to get to this morning. As we mentioned, our good friend Alex Bull is going to stop by here in a couple of minutes to talk about things happening in the Canadian landscape, specifically with the NEO exchange. Whenever there he is. Hey, Alex. Good morning.
Good morning, Brandon. How are you?
Good. Lots to discuss, lots to get to here. We were just trying to figure out whether we were going to have the afternoon off on Thursday, and it looks like we will not. So there's that. How are things shaping up over at NEO this morning?
Good. Things are going along nicely. I'm definitely missing the lack of sports as of late. That's taking its toll a little bit. My Rogers package continues to be charging me for it, so we're gonna have to change that shortly. But other than that, definitely getting caught up on some Netflix viewing. Fairway, good chunk through Tiger King. Well, I caught up on some Ozarks as well. So, definitely some downtime for TV. But on the trading side over at NEO, all things are well. We're about we're seeing a little bit of that market share coming back now. I think we see a little bit of a drop off on some of the volatility we're seeing. Volumes continue to be up, but a little bit less activity maybe in the interlisted names. So we're definitely seeing a big spike on the CSE listed. Yesterday we were about 19% of the overall trading on that. Continue to be strong in the venture at about 15% and about 6.5% on the TSX listed. So continue to chug along nicely. We're getting some of that market share back, as I mentioned. Yesterday we were about 9.2% of the overall market share. A little bit more slanted towards our L book than the N, but we're starting to see that normalize a little bit itself as well.
Yeah, heading into obviously a holiday week in the U.S., are you seeing volumes kind of dwindle here as we get into Wednesday? I mean, what are we expecting as far as Thursday goes? And then Friday, obviously, U.S. markets will be closed.
Yeah, exactly. Like the last week or so, I've seen that they've dovetailed off a little bit. They're still pretty strong. We're averaging about 160 to 200 million shares a day, which is on the upper echelon of what we were doing pre-volatility. But we're starting to see the S&P start normalizing a little bit. We're not seeing those massive swings intraday that we were seeing maybe 2 weeks ago. The market-wide circuit breakers aren't being triggered as regularly. Actually, they haven't been triggered in probably about a week now, knock on wood. So we're starting to see things normalize. Order rates are starting to come back to where they were pre-volatility. So yeah, in most sense, it's starting to go back to where it was, I think.
We talked briefly last we spoke about MindMed. A lot of the psychedelic type stocks coming back into play a little bit here as we move into the mid part of the month here. As far as volume in the group is concerned, are you seeing or noticing anything changing to the upside?
Yeah, absolutely. MindMed continues to chug along nicely. I know some of their peer groups, Champignon Brands, that's a CSE listed. They're both doing very well. As Revive Therapeutics, I know that's another one that's in the peer group. We're definitely seeing a lot of interest in there. I think it's part and parcel to some of the trials that have been going through on the psilocybin side. Obviously Mr. Wonderful going out there and marketing it a little bit on his side as well has definitely helped bringing some awareness to the sector as well.
We touched a little bit about the cannabis space the last time we had you on as well, Alex. Obviously, the government since then has come out and removed cannabis stores specifically from the essential services list. Any reaction to that as far as volume on your side?
I'd say we always do very well on the cannabis listed names as well. Energy has definitely been a more popular one that we've seen the last few weeks. But ACB continues to be on our top 10 traded list. Halo, which is a NEO listed one, continues to be in our top 10 traded list. So we're definitely seeing some interest in the cannabis space. I would say that it dovetailed off the last maybe 3 weeks or so, but we are seeing a little bit more of a resurgence back in that area for sure.
You mentioned energy names there a little bit. Obviously, oil came off significantly. We're seeing a little bit of stabilization now, back to the upside again. I think it's third day in a row here for oil in positive territory. Is there one or two maybe specific energy names that stood out to you over the past couple of days?
Yeah, absolutely. The usual suspects for sure, Baytex, Cenovus. But another one that popped up recently was Crescent Point as well as Nuvista Energy. They're all TSX listed. We're upwards around 12 to 13% of the overall trading on those names specifically. So energy is definitely a sector that we're scoring very well in.
Great stuff. Alex Bowles from the NEO Exchange here in Toronto. Good to speak to you once again. Alex, obviously, we're continuing our social distancing efforts. Alex working remotely with a great background today. I like how that works. Enjoy the rest of the day, sir. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks a lot, Brandon. Take care.
There we go, guys. A look at some Canadian names. Obviously, CVE, Cenovus. We also had Nuvista, which is NUV, if you want to look at some of the energy names today. Again, crude oil inventories coming up at 10:30 this morning. We also have Sean Shirzadi joining us once again around that same time from the Flemington Food Bank. So we'll discuss a little bit about the Flemington Food Bank, and lots of people obviously in need with everything that is going on. So stay tuned for that. Let's get into a few names here, guys. We have lots to get to this morning as far as stocks that are moving around in the pre-market. The first one I want to talk about here, Pinterest. I was up about 10%. I'll have a look here in a second, but it was up about 10%. The company issued guidance for fiscal for our first quarter that came in better than expected. So a lot of these online platforms, we've been seeing user numbers going through the roof. So obviously no reason why revenue shouldn't follow that, guys. Pinterest, yeah, still up more than 10%, although coming back in a little bit here.
Yeah, if you look at the bump up that we saw, you got up to about 1735 post-market, and you go back in the daily chart, that was the December low. So nice breakout opportunity through that price. I think we might get a shot at it today. It's on 100,000 pre-market volume, which compared to some other names isn't a tremendous amount, but it's pretty solid for Pinterest. Like you said, up that 11%. Tight pre-market range, but worth noting, it is holding the top end right now of sort of that aftermarket bump. In the back of your mind, you always have to look at that sort of pre-market retracement play, which we're looking at in an MBRX. But as I look here at the level 2, and we're going to jump in because we have direct market access here, you can see some large selling here. Someone looking to dump some shares at 1680 on NYB. So as much as I'd like to see a potential breakout trade, you know, whether it's on a swing basis or today at that 1735, it's a key level. You might also be looking at an opportunity to take a short in front of it, especially if there is that type of sell action off of the open, and then you just use that pre-market high or that 35 as you're out. So I like Pinterest, probably in either direction, but I really want to watch this order right off the open to see if there is a big seller.
Yeah, nice to see Pinterest back from the dead. It was $10 there. Obviously, it's a recent IPO in the last couple of years. And I like Pinterest to the top side as well. But right now, there's nothing here. We like to look at the imbalance locator for you guys. I know a lot of traders out there don't have access to this, but here we go. This is on the New York, and look, it's our friend Carnival to the top side again here with 1 million shares to buy. These are market on open orders, guys. So these are ones that are going to fill right away. The first trade that comes off of the NYSE. These are all NY stocks. If you ever see Neil and I sitting here trading and it says pins.ny, that's obviously going to be a New York stock. And then you go over to a stock that's going against us right now, but MBRX, Kevin, you mentioned that. Again, why are we shorting it? And we talked about that a little bit, why we like the setup. It's up 177%. We just think that it can support this 165. We'll wait. But if you see a .NQ up here, guys, that's a NASDAQ stock. And then if you ever see us switch over to something like the Spiders, the S&P, this is the ES 500, S&P 500 ETF, you're going to see .AM, that's NYSE American. So those are some common ones. Pink Sheets, which is OTC, is PK. But that's what we look at right now. Pinterest should be a good one. It's on my board, and we'll be looking at that as a breakthrough 17.
Yeah, MBRX, interesting move back to the highs essentially of the pre-market. If you go to a daily chart on that thing, 160 is a huge level. So have a look at daily chart. Before we get into Tesla, I want to get to Tesla here. Let's get over and say good morning to Valeria.
Good morning and hello everyone. Welcome to the live trading show. If you're passionate about trading, if you want to learn how to trade and keep updated with the latest news from the market, you're at the right place in the right time. Guys, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe for our channel. We are live every day and you'll receive notifications when we are on air. If you watch us from Facebook, like and share our video. And if you're looking for a little bit more active chat, join us on YouTube. It's exactly the same stream. Well, it's all for now. Back to traders.
All right, great stuff. Let's continue along here with Tesla. We mentioned they came out aftermarket yesterday with an announcement about some hourly employees being furloughed, and then came out this morning and said that production at their Fremont, California facility is going to remain suspended until May 4th. So they're targeting May 4th to resume production at the California facility. They also said additional pay reductions are expected to be in place until the end of the second quarter, when initially they had said only only a couple of weeks to 1 month. Sean, Tesla obviously back in positive territory a little bit here this morning. What are you thinking on that one?
Yeah, 1.75% seems good, Brendan, and I do like this call today. And look, I mean, with the market here, I was just noticing the market bumping up. I mean, look, this is the ES again, so 2666 here bumps to 2680, and you get a very, very similar move up here in Tesla at the same time, bumping from 552 up to 556. Look, I mean, this stock, if we look back to yesterday, huge run off the open here. It dips down. It's very hard to get involved off the open. 544 all the way down to 532. So that's about $12 that way. And then you get this monster run here. $30 right there in the first 20 minutes of the day before pulling back and then finally settling down here. We saw that nasty move down in the afternoon yesterday down to 540 and change. But look, it's bounced off. You got a little bit of consolidation here at 552. You get the bottom at 551. And then a lot of this up here, you get a high of 558 and then a low right now of 554. So as we zoom back in here, this is that 558 level, banging right on it once again. So, and then 552. So you have a little $6 range. I love breaking this top here, especially if the market goes. We know that can happen. And then you get, I don't think we have a $30 move in it or anything like that, but 558 almost all the way up. You know, you can probably, let me see if you pull this back a little bit. What was the high yesterday? 564 in that run. So I would say like a 558 to 565 or so should be in the books if it does break 558. But I want to make sure that that does happen.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing for me is if it can hold above that little 558, 560-ish range. When you look at the daily chart, that's sort of the picture that gets painted over there in Tesla. Got to watch that NBRX. One thing I was noting in the chat for you guys is this stock is doing way more volume than typically on this retracement play you would see above the previous level. So there was a lot of volume above 150. There's a ton of volume when it cracks 160 here. So you're looking at that high of 164, 165. This is very different from some of the plays that 3, 4, 5 times in a row we've seen work fantastically, giving you the flush back down to a buck or a 50% retrace, whatever you're looking at. So this one looking very, very strong right now.
All right, guys, let's shift over to Apple here. Piper Jaffray raising their price target for Apple shares from 260 back to 300, citing the firm's biannual teen consumer survey, which pointed to the iPhone and iWatch as the most popular both smartphone and smartwatch with teens. So a nice look, very similar to Tesla's chart here for Apple this morning, up just over 1%. I guess 262 could come into play.
Yeah, I mean, Apple's been a great. I just want to talk about NBRX. We just got blown out the top there, 165. So we take the long there, 165, and that's where we are now, stuck long, 166. Actually, we just took some out in the 70s there. Good look by you there, Kevin, talking about it being good news. You are right. This is the play, though. Short, blown out there, now to the top, 168, 170. Let's see what this can do. Okay, Apple. Look, we love Apple. Apple moves with the market. Look at this futures starting to go right now. I love this Apple play here, breaking back above 263.50. We got as high as 263.75. And again, if you see yesterday, guys, a little different story than Tesla. Similar move down, not as accelerated to the top side. But look, here's where we got into some problems. 267 was a top here, yesterday. A couple battles again at 267, and then we top out right now at 263 and change in the afternoon. So when you zoom in to today, of course, and we go and see what's happening, we're right at that 263 level again. So if we can hold above here, right now we're 262.80, but if we can hold above this 263 area, I do like that long. And with the futures bumping up, hey, let's start to rock and roll. We're making some money back now as NBRX going 5-6 pennies into the money for that one. I'll just go over to it. 170. How high did it get there? 173. So let's see if we can hit a home run now, guys, on this one and make back everything we lost on the short. We're now super long NBRX.
Yeah, quick look at Apple. One thing I like to do is we get a test of that 26, 25 to 30 area that's been so good on the ES. That's not a bad stock to pick up on a bounce there. You can like some stronger names, but it follows the market so well that if you don't want to play that bounce in the SPY or in the ES specifically, you can always just jump over, right on over to Apple and pick that one up. So almost regardless of what price it is, if there's any kind of consolidation and we're at that 26.30 mark at some point in the day, I think that can be a nice little turnaround long.
Just to highlight the news on that MBRX, guys, they came out this morning and said their WP1122 compound has shown 100% success in reducing replication of coronavirus cells in testing. So one of the compounds in testing that the company is working on seems to be able to get rid of replication of the cells altogether. So if you're looking at MBRX, that was the news on that one. Disney not really doing a lot in the pre-market here, but we can touch on the news. Maybe they said they may require visitors to the theme parks and other attractions to have their temperature checked before entering. So Disney a little bit higher, not doing a lot of volume in the pre-market. Let's move on to Levi Strauss here, guys. They reported quarterly profit of 40 cents per share, 5 cents above estimates. The apparel maker's revenue also coming into the upside. So a nice look for Levi, an IPO from last year, guys.
Yeah, I mean, Levi's up, but the volume's so weak right now. This is one of those stocks that is 100% chance I'm going to let this one make its opening range before diving into it. I don't get excited when a stock it's only 12 bucks is going to do you 45,000 shares in the pre-market. It's good that it's holding the top end of that range. You can see the wild swing after market, and we are holding the top here at 1250. I mean, the market is also, sort of bouncing off that level that we keep talking about. So there's a chance that that's the only reason on light volume that we're sitting up here. Also noting a little bit of a buyer that seems to be here at 1250. We'll have to make sure that that's actually legit off of the open. But Levi's not on the radar until about 10-15 minutes in for me.
I want to bring up some weed names here because right now essential services are back here. Apparently they're allowed to reopen some stores here in Ontario, so that's a big thing for some of these names, including CGC. So CGC up right now 1.86%. Again, not much happening, but if we do go back to yesterday, this was that level, $15. We bang through it right away in the morning and get to $15.60 before that report comes out that cannabis, last year, 2 years ago illegal, now an essential service here in Canada. You see $15. We bounced off there a couple times. 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter. All through yesterday afternoon. Now today, it looks like we have a chance to get to that 15 again. So hopefully today we'll make a little bit of profit if we can't get that $15 to go upside here on CGC. I do like it. We'll have to wait to see if it busts that early. I would rather it go down to 14.50 or so, make sure that holds, and then make a run back to 15. So that's what we're looking at. We're still holding that MBRX, which is still hovering around 170, guys. A
little small cap CBD name moving higher as well. CBD-MD, they gave a strong Q2 forecast, or reiterated their current Q2 forecast, which was to the upside. So a nice look for YCBD as well, if you want to have a look at a smaller one. Let's go to the latest Chinese stock to be accused of accounting issues. TAL Education, the China-based online education company, under pressure after disclosing business conduct violations. Take from that what you will. I mean, this is a decent sized stock, guys. We had a huge move to the downside aftermarket yesterday. I mean, 55.5 all the way down to $40, and then we're right back to about halfway back here around this $50 area.
Yeah, this isn't like what happened, of course, with Luck in here. You can see the bounce back it's getting. You traded at 39 post market yesterday. We're recovering a lot of this back. Very, very tight pre-market range on over 1 million shares. So there's a little bit of stability in here between 50 and about $52. I was just sort of looking at the daily chart for me, and 50.20, that's going to be a level. 51 and 52, both of those even numbers that we're going to look at. Before all of this happened, this is why we're looking at this 50-20 area. You can certainly see that was the actual low going into this nice little rebound that it had made, after the big drop off at $60 here. You can see making a nice little double bottom at 45, and then that bounce was terminated at 50.20. That was that low. So I'm looking at that level to be an interesting one. If it can't hold, you're probably going to expect some floodgates to open up. I'm not saying if it breaks that it's going to get all the way down here to the bottom at 39, but 50.20, if we can bounce off that, I'm probably jumping into a long position in TAL. Otherwise, you're shorting it through 50.20 for sure. And I like to take a shot as well at that 52 top to see if you can't fade that level off the open here.
Yeah, nothing special here on TAL for me, but yeah, I mean, it's a good stock. I'm not very familiar with that. One thing we are familiar with here is Microsoft. Look, it's bounced off this 166 a little bit here, and I always like to look at this name in the pre-market. It can trade really well and give you some good ideas, but 166 here is a nice one, and then 164.50 for the bottom on Microsoft, as well as AAPL. If you're just joining us, guys, hit that like button, hit subscribe. We're back every every single day. And I also did want to give a shout out to Mark Roberts from Catone & Company, continuing to send us some notes every single morning. Send those guys some volume there, floor broker over on Catone. So we like to support those guys there at NYSE. And, be well, Mark, and all your friends there and all our friends over at the NYSE as New York continues to be struggles. And this is supposed to be a bad week for numbers, as we know. Hopefully those new cases can be on the decline. Apple there, guys, touches 263. We don't get in. I don't have any pre-market orders set up for Apple because I've had that happen to me too many times where it breaks 263 and then tanks to 261 before ripping back up or something like that. So we're going to wait to see. I still like this 263 break on Apple, so we're going to wait to see if that happens. If you are aggressive, get your orders in now. There's only 5 minutes until the opening bell, Brendan.
Yeah, guys, if you're missing Mark's input on the show, as we certainly are, just know that we are working in the background to try and come up with a solution. He's obviously working at home, so we are trying to get Mark back on the show as quickly as possible. He really wants to come back on the show, so yeah, we will continue to put efforts towards that. Another one to look at is if you're looking at Chinese companies moving to the downside today. IQ on the NASDAQ being called out by a prominent short seller today. Big mover yesterday to the upside, gapping down about 8% this morning. Let's get to Boeing here, guys. Sean, I'll come back to you with this one. I mean, we saw a big move yesterday in the afternoon to the downside. Spirit Aerosystems coming out this morning saying the company's top supplier not going to make anything for them for the foreseeable future. They also said they're implementing 2 new software updates on the grounded 737 MAX. What do we think of Boeing today?
Yeah, I was just looking at this from yesterday's levels again, and I always only look at 2 levels from yesterday. It was actually this one right here. We did get a nice little crash. I mean, talk about, I shouldn't say crash, that's bad for Boeing, but we did a stock crash down here to 140 before. Now we're at 148. I was actually looking at this little high here, 147.50 that we made about 2:30 yesterday before coming back in. It looks like we're at 148 and change right now, so we did break. You can see that 147.50 bounced and supported right here at 8 o'clock this morning, and then bounced and supported again here right now, and now we get the break up. But look at the future starting to go. Look, I like Boeing up 4.8%. If you check the daily chart on this one, guys, I mean, if you're familiar with trading Boeing, you know this kind of roller coaster we've been on. We did get as high as 180 there. Look, this was the best week in over 11 years that we had, over 26%, entering a bull market again. So Boeing goes from 92 up to 180. That's a double. And now it's had some problems right here, 153. So I would say you go long. If it breaks through 153, you go hella long. But you got to protect this bottom also of 140. So there's about a $10 range there. We did get a question from Victor there. How do you handle share sizes or trading pre-market? And I think the same thing is here for Boeing. When you have a bigger range like this, you got to sort of play lower shares because you do know that Boeing can move on you easily that $10. We're already up, 4 or 5 here in about a half hour. So those are my thoughts on Boeing. I would rather hit this long breaking through 153, which we could get to right now. It's only at 149.
Yeah, the only level I was looking at was the 147.50 as well, but I'll give you this little dip bottom here yesterday on the way down. It was a nice bounce at 148.64. So I think it's a secondary opportunity to long at that price, and then you can use that 147.50 as an out maybe the other way. I like to turn resistance into support if you can do it. So let's see if we can't have a look at that one. Again, I don't like Boeing in the pre-market. This is the stock you want to see open up and give you a little more liquidity, at least in my opinion. It's just, the spread right now is, I'm looking at 30, not a big spread, but at times it can open up off the open there, and then you're just in a world of hurt when it comes to risk-wise. Brendan, a name that I'm looking at as well, I know you got on the big board. What's that one?
Yeah, a couple minutes to go here, guys. NBAX also higher this morning in the pre-market here, 15.8%. Just wanted to point out 1760 up here was the initial coronavirus outbreak high when these things started to spike back to the upside. So this one right back to that initial high. So watch 1760 kind of consolidating here, looking like it might want to at least test that. We'll see what happens at the open with NBAX, guys.
Yeah, this one took off that 17 level in the pre-market. It made another move to the upside leg here. If it fails at 1740, NBAX has been a relatively comfortable retracement short. You can see it, on the daily chart, it is making that run to the top. If it fails at the top, you feel pretty good given that defined level, that 1760 that you pointed out there, Brendan. So NBAX, I'd like to see it actually test that if possible. Otherwise, if it falls immediately away from that, I'm going to be shorting that one on the open. So we like NBAX. We got a minute to go here here, guys. A lot of stocks to get to. I know we didn't necessarily talk too much about IQ directly. That just rolled over at 1650. So there was a wall here at 1650. I did a little bit of shorting just for a couple of scalps in here near the bottom because I had missed that initial move. But it retests 1650 and falls again. So I'm looking at that level. It's probably a decent place to have a stop. Reversal to the long side if you feel nimble enough and you want to go long in IQ. Certainly you can have a look at that. But I'm looking to play that 1650 level for a short in front.
Yeah, and that was NVAX, right?
No, that one's IQ.
IQ, okay, yeah. NVAX has a 1650 level as sort of as a bottom as well. I'm going to wait to play NVAX long through that key level there, 1770 or so, like Brendan mentioned. Okay, so we're only, now we're almost past the time here, Neil, so we're only 5 seconds to go.
Slow on the
so that clock is going to be wrong, but let's throw it to Valeria. Ring that bell, Valeria, as we're going to get into Microsoft here, it looks like, right off the open. The market is now open, so let's get ready to rock and roll. And there goes Apple to the top side, like I was saying there. Sometimes you get into these stocks a little early. Apple right now with a 50-cent spread on it right now. But there goes MBRX to the top side. We are long this one, 166. Let's see.
It's going to halt any second now, it looks like. So we're probably going to get a halt in MBRX. I just tried to add to the position on that break. Unable to get any more shares there, but it breaks 175. I actually had just dipped in long at 160, adding to my position, and then took a few shares out at 75, then tried to get back in once I realized it was going to be an upward halt. So you lose on the short. We're back in long, 165, 10 cents in the money, but a good-looking trade there possibly. IQ right away makes a test of this 1650 level. You want to let these stocks open up just a little bit just to see what happens, but this is an immediate test of that 1650. So you can take a shot here, but I would not let it go through.
Yeah, we just had some cash rolling everywhere there on Microsoft and on Apple. So here goes Microsoft right now. We're long 166. Let's see if we can't take some of this out. It's a very violent open here. We rip up about 10 handles, which isn't so crazy, but Microsoft does go all the way to 166.60 there. We didn't take that profit, but here we go to the upside. We're long Microsoft 166.05, so that's a banger right there. Nice little 50-cent win to start the day on Microsoft. Go, go, go. See if we can't get going. We are also long Apple right now. That's a nice bang. That's a nice little 50-cent job right there. So we go long Microsoft, long Apple, long MBRX, and the day's just getting started here. We've got a bunch of nice little winners on board, guys. Let's go.
We'll throw the disco ball action. We just told you that 1650 test on IQ breaks right through. We grab along. We just took a quick scalp out. Now we can hang on to this position. The pre-market high was 1680. You want to see if it can take out that level as well. A nice move to the upside initially. We talked about that level all morning long here. We got the final break. They're going to look at that one very, very tightly, but we got about 4 minutes until we get a reopen on MBRX. That could be a wild one. Want to jump you guys over to TAL. This was the other big mover, still down 7%, but it looks like it tried to take out that 52 that we're talking about. I'll zoom in for you, and then failed right back in here. So we liked that break. We didn't want it right away off of the open. Now that it's come back in that range, remember that number 50-20? That's going to be our stop on any kind of a long. On this retracement, we're going to dip into TAL now using 50-20 as our out.
Yeah, so right now we have 3 positions on, and we can update them for you. It's been a little bit crazy here. We'll just talk about it quickly. Long Apple 263.09. You guys can see that. Hopefully, I pushed start on my board. There it is. 263.09. Now it's off. MBRX 162 long and Microsoft 166 long. Everything bang. Microsoft now big winner there. I just see that ripping up here. 166.50, 166. Let's go. Let's throw this cash. A quick 70-cent winner now on Microsoft. We talked about that one. I'm all over that. We gave you that 166 long. So there's a banger right off the morning there. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. Nice little 50-cent winner for you there. Apple's been nothing but cash money as well. Look at these trades, guys. We go 263 long. Look where we're out. 27, then a bunch here at 40. So a nice little win to start the day here on Apple. The day's just getting going, but we've already got the bangers right now, guys. Punch of bullseyes. Let's go.
A quick look at that YGYI. I know a lot of you guys were looking at a big flush off the open here. Watch out for that pre-market bottoming. This 190 level is going to be a key one, so we're going to watch it very, very closely here. I want to see us bounce off it if we can. It's the stock down 25% already. Brendan, what do you got for us, buddy?
Just watching Pinterest, guys. We were talking about it earlier. It came up to 17 initially there and kind of stalled out, looking like it was going to struggle with 17 even. So obviously higher on the day, but looking a little bit relatively weak to me, guys, for Pinterest.
Okay, we're going to tap out of our Microsoft.
We're back at the money on that TAL position. We're letting it work itself out here, right around this 51.50 where we took it. This was that pre-market top that got blown out here at 51.50. That's where our entry price was on TAL. We like this one all the way to 50.20, however, and we want to see a retest of 52 even. So that's one of the 3 longs that we have right now. One, of course, is MBRX, which is halted, and we'll look at that opening up in about 2 minutes or so. The other look is IQ. Want to see if we can hold that to 16 even. Don't want to let it break 16. IQ has been under a tremendous amount of pressure lately, so that's going to be worth a look. We wanted Boeing to open up before we jumped into that trade. You see it test 150, it comes all the way back down through that 147.50 level that we like. Now that it's made a bit of a range, I think this is when you can start thinking about where to leverage yourself in Boeing, and we are seeing the future slide off a little bit. Keep in mind, if we get all the way down to 26.30 and bounce, I like the long on an Apple at 26.30 on the ES. But here comes Boeing to the downside, 146.50. I'm looking to short a pop in front of 150.
Okay, and yeah, we're still a lot long right now, MBRX. So we're going to wait to see where that does open. We just got out of some shares on that one right before the halt at 176. We're long 166. So we're going to check on that one. Our Apple trade, we did get out once it did break this little bottom here. We held about that. We always hold about that 10%. So Apple, very profitable trade for us today, and that is going to keep going. And we'll see, man. The future's dropping back down here. I did want to check back on CGC. That was a name that we had with Canopy, and yeah.
Oh, boo, MBRX. Not what I wanted to see immediately. We open up, we test the bottom. I basically get touched in, but not a full lot there. So I got some 176s on that open. Didn't get a tremendous amount of shares there, however, on MBRX. It is moving to the upside, but we're holding maybe 183, 184. Crazy action here. You can see I want to run to 2 even. Thankfully, we did get some shares.
Yeah, buddy.
175 on the open, so doubled my position. Tried to get a few more in that little bounce, but here comes 2 even. I'll take some out in front of it if we can. It'll be a nice winner here. Of course, we had some at 175. We had some on a break of 165 as well. Nice little trade here in MBRX. Crazy. Look at this level 2.
Yeah, guys, and there it is there. Shout out to Kevin there talking about that on the pre-market. We just cashed out there, 193, 190. We're still pretty big at 166 now, guys. We didn't take any new shares, but look, this thing could fall down in a second.
Yeah,
so
you gotta watch.
We're going to wait to see what that does, but talk about falling down. Microsoft's falling down. We did get out of that one. I'm just going to wait for that MBRX. I don't really care. We're going to let that run. That's a lottery ticket for me today as well. Okay, Boeing right now.
I just covered MBRX. I got half out in the 80s and 90s. For me, when it retakes that halt price, 175, bye-bye. I don't want it halting to the downside and I'm caught long. No way, no how that's going to happen to me. I'm out of there, guys.
Yeah, I'm still in. We'll see. It's okay. It's a lottery ticket, like I said. It's broke or zero. Okay, broke or high, hopefully. 146, I know Neil talked about Boeing here. I like this bottom. It has to break 145. But with these futures falling down, you never know what's going to happen here. We could break this 145 at some point. But Apple, if you're going to trade something that's moving with the market, you got to sort of look at Apple all the time. And here's this bottom here in the pre-market, 261.50. Let's see if we can't smash that. We just got short Pinterest here on a break of 16.50. Let's see how far down that one can go. Still up that 10%. But right now we are short 16.48 right now on Pinterest. Let's see if it can give it back up. Maybe back down to 16 even would be nice. Let's go Pinterest, give it a test.
Yeah, having a quick look over at Macy's, guys. It's doing solid volume off the open here. A little bit of a flush, but I like this little top it made here at 615 or so. If we can retest that, maybe on any kind of a pullback here in the market, let's see if we can look at that level on Macy's. The volume's been so good. It's a good stock to trade. We're going to make sure we monitor it. I want to get back to our TAL position. Was unable to add to it down here at VWAP 51.30. It's holding the top end, so it's holding above our price. I might have to add higher instead of averaging down. I might have to average up on this one while it's in the money. Brendan, what do you got?
Another one from yesterday, guys. We were looking at AKER a couple of times during the morning. This thing halted a few times yesterday morning, one on the way down here. So we're back to this gap level after the halt. So 675 seems to be a little bit of resistance for AKER. Another one today, guys, with positive momentum on their COVID-19 trials, guys.
I loved AKER yesterday, and it was a really good fade. And I think one of the things you do on day 2, day 3 of some of these plays is you get aggressive off of some of those key levels. Unfortunately, all the best shorts were up around that $8 area, and there's not a heck of a lot till 4. So it's a lot of open space in the meantime to be able to play this one. I'm going to give you one name that we've been talking about to the long side lately, and that's going to be Tiffany. I liked it long in the 125 range. I liked it long 127.50 to 128, but I've been looking at this now the last few sessions in front of 130. Just give an idea of what's happening on the daily chart. Let's look at this 130 here, and I'm basically looking at shorting in front of that for the time being. So I've picked up some shares in front of yesterday's high. I'm going to give it to about 129.50 as a stop. Thinly traded name here, but I got 129.16. Usually you get about $1 winner on this type of a play. So that's a short that I got on. Tiffany, the only one. Still long IQ, which is about to break 16 even. Can't let that go. Might be a reversal.
Okay, here goes Pinterest here. This is our big one right now. So we're still in NBRX, but Neil talked about that. Already halted up 200%. So we'll see. Look, it fades back down here. Like I said, we'll get out of that one. Pinterest, we've already taken. Look, we're short 49s. We took out some 42s. There on Pinterest, so now we have to wait to see if it's going to fall back down. I'm going to support this short all the way till 17 at least, and think about hitting hopefully a home run back down here into the 16 area on pins. We also do want to look, here it goes, come on Pinterest, let's go buddy. I also want to look at, oh that's NBRX, CCL, I want to give a quick look, 1175, it's bounced off there a couple times, so I'm going to be a shorter at 1175 if that can come through, but for right now, all of my focus is going to be on Pinterest as we have a few shares here, and we're short this name right now, 1648. And here we go to the downside with Pinterest. I don't even have any bids out here, so maybe we should get some in the mid-30s, guys. Pinterest for the win right now.
A quick look over at Levi's. We said we wanted to have an opening range. We've got one. 13 failed break through the top here, bouncing all the way off of 12 even, so it's put in the range, but the original breakout was at 1275. I'm going to use that as a short play here. If the market's going to break up, that's fine, but we have a nice level we can work off of, so we're going to use that in Levi's. Brendan, what do you got?
That YCBD we were talking about, little tiny cannabis stock here, up 43%, coming back to these pre-market high levels, 115 to 118 on decent volume, guys, looking very strong for YCBD as well.
And guys, check out Pinterest right here. It's Cowbell Central. We getting some out. I just talked about getting them out mid 1630s, so I put an order 38. Then it crashes down and we get 28s and 29s. So again, here we go. Pinterest right now for the win. A great little break through 1650. Those of you that know how I trade, I love to trade these even breaks when we're taking out even dollars, which would be the 17, or the half point, which is 1650. So you can see this little purple mark right here, guys. That's a short. And right now we go arrow down for Pinterest, and it's a big win here already. We're out at half of our trade here on Pinterest for a big win. So that's a good one. I hope you guys have this with us. Shorting Pinterest. I still think there's more to come. So let's see what's the downside on this name.
NBRX should open up momentarily. If this one opens lower, I'm going to look for a short retracement opportunity. But I talked about IQ in that 16 area. It does hold 16 rather tightly. So when it bounces off that price, you're going to go long on the way back up here. So we picked some shares up on IQ at 1620. Now we're going to see if we can't work out in front of that high of day. I do have an order at that high at 1675. We're going to see if we can work this one all the way up. We're basically flat on that TAL position. IQ is now worked in the money for us. We'll take a little bit off there, but only a quarter. I want to see if we can't make another run to 1675. It's down so much. It's got 5% that it's still down on the session. Let's see if we can't get a bounce. TAL, wow, it had a tight range pre-market, and basically the same thing here. It's been teetering around flat the entire time, so there might not be a heck of a lot going in that one. We have a key level at 5020 that we are working off of. If that doesn't break, we're fine. There goes NBRX. It does open lower. Now I need to see if it holds this 180 level. If it holds 180 and stays below this reopen range, this usually signals a bit of a retracement play for me. So I'm going to have a look here. If it can hold that, we'll jump back into the shorts. Short first time, that didn't work. Long worked out. Now we'll try the short.
Guys, I mean, we're exploding the profits here today. I hope you guys have this one, but it is chicken dinner winner time. Pinterest, we give you this one trade here, guys, 1650. You hammer that short like we did, and it drops all the way down here, 1610, 1612. I just got out there. So watching this one fade back and forth has been a good one. Futures making the move upside. We're just chilling out here. There goes NBRX. We take some out at 76 there. We're still long 66. So this name just keeps going for us. We'll wait to see what happens here, but it looks like it's resisting this 180 level. So we will, put another order to get out here in the mid 70s. Just keep taking our profits on this name as Pinterest just continues to flush, guys. What a great trade that was. I hope you had it with us.
Yeah, and just looking at the NWX for me, it flushed through that 180 just now, then slammed back down. So I'm going to try this little retracement short on this name, and I'm going to get over to also NVAX because that's another name that we want to watch. But stop's going to be at 180 on this short, so very tight stop to make sure it holds the bottom end of the range. You're not going to give this one as much room as I would before. So if it goes through 180, fair enough. I want to be able to move on, see if we can't catch a name that's moving because getting a bounce here in NVAX, and I like this play if we can get any kind of retracement short here on an NVAX in and around VWAP. Let's see if we make a leg up to 1680, we can jump in. The volume's very good on NVAX. I've always liked this stock, especially once it puts in an opening range. So let's jump in while the waters are warm. 1680 to 17 is going to be our target entry here. Brendan, what do you got?
Another one under pressure today, guys. EHT8, it's eHealth down about 15%. Muddy Waters coming out announcing that they're short this stock. So prominent short seller in EHTH as well, guys.
And look at this. Pinterest again for the win. We don't even need to trade anything else today, guys. Pinterest all the way down to 16 and change here. So a big win, needless to say, for that one. So no hockey. And we talked to Alex today about that. Him and Brendan upset. There's no sports, obviously. But you got this sport right now, and that is the sport of day trading. And right here, a big win here. 37 plus pennies on this statement. Again, it's all relative to how many shares you have. Hopefully you have a few thousand shares on this one and you make your bank because right here just bounced off 16. Look at this out. 1602. We just took it out. Let's see if it breaks through 16. We talked about that happening already. I don't know if we get all the way back down to 15 in change, but Pinterest was up 10-12%. Now we're down to 7. So let's see about this name. I'm completely happy not making too many more trades, but I'm here for you, so I'll find some more.
Yeah, quick look over at NVAX. We did just get our entry there in the 1660 range. I'd like a 1680-ish price, so we'll work into that one if it goes back to the upside. Hey, but if it works right away, I got no problem with that. MBRX, we're looking to reload in the 170s if we can. We did get a first leg out on that one, but I need this to go timber action is what we're looking for, and it's ultimately a break of this 160 bottom that you want. So you got a 20-cent range. If it takes the top off, fair enough. We just reloaded back in, and we'll lose about 5 cents on MBRX in order to make at least VWAP for half of it, which is 20 cents down. So that's the risk to reward ratio that we're looking at on MBRX, kind of making back the blunder that we had earlier in the session. I'll take you guys back over to our NVAX position in a second, but I want to update the position board so you can see what we're working with. We have a few names on here, so it's worth noting. TAL, we have a 50-20 level that we're working off of. We have started this position at 5160, haven't broken 51 to be able to add to it yet, so we have a big range on TAL because it's moved so much. Also have NVAX just started short 1664. You can see MBRX, of course, I just talked about it, $1.75. And then we still have that IQ basically flat at 1630. And then the Tiffany short, which will probably be sitting in, a lot of times I'll be sitting in that stock all day long because it's not a huge mover, despite the fact it can catch a buck here or there. It's got a very tight range usually and very consistent.
Yeah, that's like we mention all the time, it depends on the market access that you have. These rebate stocks are great stocks to trade, so have a look there. I'm going to put an order in just for small. I know you're long TAL here, Neil. I think I like that spot that you're talking about here, 50-80, 50-70 or so on the downside, so we'll wait till that breaks and then put a little bit of risk into TAL. I'm not going to touch this thing until we do break lower. Bad news on this name today, down 8+%. I just prefer the short, but we are going to wait for that level. We did get out of 16. I just took some out there, 16-17 on Pinterest. Just a little nervous. You can see all these outs here. We've already made like 20 or so executions on Pinterest. And again, because we have direct market access, we actually get paid to trade. So I'll sit here with a NASDAQ or one of these gateways that pays us. So when it runs us over, you get a small amount. It's $2 per every 1,000 shares. So it's not huge, but at least it goes in our pocket and we don't have to worry. But I'm just looking right now at the 1601. That's my best out. Let's see if it breaks 16. I'm going to put some more orders down here, 1612, 1611, to get out of some of this Pinterest. I still have a third, and I'm just working working it out slowly, guys.
Yeah, immediately sliding to the downside is our short here in NVAX. And of course, I talked about that 1664. We wanted something closer at 80. We're unable to add to it. You can see it roll over immediately after our first entry. So I'll take it out if it tries to get to that 1630 bottom. We'll try to lock in about 25-30 cents and see about a re-entry point on that name. Brendan, what do you got for us, buddy?
Another name from yesterday, guys. We saw Kohl's make a move to the upside early on yesterday. Back higher again today. 8% just took out that pre-market high on decent volume. 1820. Watch 1820. Could be a little bit of support, guys.
Coal's definitely going to be a good look. I'll jump back to that MBRX, of course, because we are still, in the same range. And when you get that reopen, it's all about identifying a range that you can play with after it's reopened lower in this case. So you got to make sure it holds that 180. You tested it a couple of times. Ignore this second test. Never traded through. That was only dark pools that printed above that price. So if it takes out 160 to the bottom here, we'll hold on to the bulk of our position for a move down to VWAP and then hopefully get a break past there. That was that reopen price. Right there at the bottom, and we got in after that little halt at 160. So that's going to be a very, very key level for MBRX. It's up 200%. If it takes that out, watch the floodgates open to the downside there. So that's one short that we really like the structure of. Risk reward is pretty clean.
Yeah, siren alert. We are now short CCL, so we get this short right now, 73s. Let's see what it does right here at 70. 70 breaks, we're going to see a big move down. I'm thinking right now on this futures move. Come on, there it goes. Bang! Right there, slap shot. We've already given this trade to you guys. Big move here, hopefully coming on Carnival. Here's where we're short, 173. We're out 68 there. 67's coming through. Big short taken again. On these names as we continue to go. CCL, TAL also short this one, 50.72. And here's a banger for you on TAL. Bang, hit that. We got this one to the short side. Let's see what this does. Covered a little bit there at 40. I have too many winners here. I got to get back and get out of some of these ones, guys.
Timber, exactly what we're looking for. The flush down to VWAP on MBRX. So we talked about that target range. You grab the 175 short. You're already taking 160s. That actually got 59s there on that move. So you take a quick 15 cents, almost that 10% return. But once it breaks and holds below 160, look out below. We actually right now still have now we have half our position on, and we just took some more out in front of VWAP. So we're going to let the other half ride. It's not a reload situation, and I'm not sliding my stop down. It's either breaking 180 to the upside, or we get a breakdown through VWAP and get a home run trade. This was trading down at 130 in the pre-market, so there's plenty of room to give us an extra 20-30 cents on this if it can get to the downside, guys.
1192 or so here. Just looking at CCL, we did cover a little bit there. Oh, one thing I want to talk about was Pinterest, baby, and there we go. This is the day breaker for me, day maker, I guess, as we hit the cowbell, because we did break below 16 during all that chaos there. And here is the out, 15.95. They're getting some out on Pinterest. So we'll wait to see. We are still short this one. My biggest risk position by far was today on Pinterest. So we love that break all the way down, clearing that out below $16 now. What a nice little win there. TAL didn't go down as much as we thought. We got out of half down here at 48. For a 30 penny winner. We want to take that instantly. Now we'll wait to see if we can't retest back down. There is no lower levels than this, so we did get as low as, actually here's one. We did get as low in the pre-market as 50.15, 50.20 or so. So we'll put an order there for small and see if we can't get out of that one right now. But a nice little win on TAL, huge win on Pinterest, and CCL, let's see what we can do with that one.
Yeah, quick look at Tesla. I know a lot of you guys are watching this name. It did flush through 550. It's now holding below that price. It tried to retest to the upside, failed to get back above. So, this is one of those situations where most of what I was looking at for Tesla were some upside plays on an up market. So we're going to have to be a little bit patient. Maybe we'll form a bottom, but otherwise the old levels are just going to have to apply here. We want to break at that 558 to 560. Ultimately, that was a play I liked the best on Tesla. I'm going to stick with that. It doesn't mean you can't have shorts on. You just got to pick your spots and know which ones you're most comfortable with. I will get you guys back to that YGYI, big strong move off the bottom. I wanted to see if this could be a short. It looks like it's trying to take the top off here. So it got through that opening range high, 230 break, but right now it looks like a failed break. We're holding below. If it holds lower than this 230, that's going to be a short retracement. Brendan, what do you got?
MRSN, guys, little therapeutics company moving higher today, up about 10% so far. From $8 up to about $8.75. We're getting a bit of a pullback here, but nice move after market yesterday. I was noting they did announce a share offering late in the day yesterday, so adding some debt, but moving higher anyways today, guys.
All right, so we did take out of some of that Pinterest there. It does bounce back up. And like I said, now we're pretty flat on Pinterest. We have about 10% of our position left as we take some more out here, 16, 18. I just don't need this to go from extremely green to red on my day on this one. So we're almost out, so we can hold this all the way now. No problemo. What else do you want to check back on? Oh yeah, CCL. So I short some 84s, then we rebuild some at 90 here, and we're going to wait to see if 95, 96 breaks on CCL. But this move up here in the futures, a little bit of a problem. So we'll wait to see there. If this can come crashing back down, then I know we'll have a winner on CCL. Our average price now 76. So this is coming back down. Look at TAL now into the 40s again, down to 35. Again, we're short 72 on this one. And again, it's all about the share size, guys. So watch how many shares you have. It ticks all the way down to 24 there. Didn't notice that. Let's put an order in the 30s now and not get super greedy on this name because it's been a big one for us.
50-20 is a hard sort of bottom on that stock for me, and I have a position just basically off of that 50-20. That's the only level I was looking at. So we got 51 in front of 50-20. That's what we'll play off of. MBRX here holding below now 167. So 180 was a previous stop. I'm not yet at the point where I'd move my stop down. It is still going to be basically break even. We're short a $1.77. It's holding a $1.59 right now. I'd like to see it trade below this 155 mark before I slide my stop down. And when I do that, that'd be about to $1.70 to make sure it's locking in profits, whether it's 5 or 10 cents or so. So that's the play over there on MBRX. Tiffany looks like it's going to be good for us in the money, working back down. But here goes now below that 155. So we tick below. And as I said, I will adjust my stop order. I want to take some out in front of this 150 mark, hold some more shares there, but we're loving this name. It's going to be our net to the moon on MBRX today, but sliding the stop down to 170 from 180. That's how we risk adjust.
Yeah, exactly. MBRX, great trade there. And we do get that TAL, so yes, explode that money on this name already. We only have 40% of our position out again. This is a short 72. Those of you guys that are looking at this name today, down 10%. So we go short 72. I don't even want to have any more bids on here. No, I do not. Now we come crashing down. We'll see if it does test that level. It does bounce off what Neil's talking about there, 50-20. So let's wait to see if that does crack. Then after that, it's look out below. But we may not even get to there. So we'll wait to see what this market wants to do. MBRX, yes, that goes breaks. Wow, nice break there, right back down to 150. So we do get out of that one.
It's going to halt. It's going to halt, guys. I just looked here. One of the things you'll see on MBRX is when it loads up. I was trying to show you guys level 2 very quickly. You see size building up there, non-executing orders. You get another halt. Second downward halt. I only have 20% of my position left, but you can see our last exit was down here at 145 on a 175 entry. So look, our initial short was good in the pre-market, then we failed on our second. We reversed to the long side. It looked like it was going to be good at first. And then when we caught this move right here, just before it halted, picking up some shares 160 all the way up to 175. And then the long after that, you can basically forget about it. It was a good long immediately, but then when it retested the reopen price, that was all said and done for me. I'm going to get out of it. When I see the downward halt coming in one of these names up 150, 200%, I'm running to the exit and I'm looking for a short retracement play. That's exactly what we got here in MBRX. Now we're taking it to the bank. TAL, however, I don't know. I'm going to put the cry on, and hopefully this is the right camera. Is it right? I don't know. Yeah, there we go. Look, we're going to break that 50-20. It's looking entirely too weak for me. I kind of mentioned to you guys I thought this was not like a Luckin Coffee. It held up so well after that big dip. So we played off a key level. We'll risk about $1 here, thinking that if we got a breakout, we had at least $4 or $5 worth of upside on a retracement play. Doesn't seem like it's going to happen. 15 cents away from my stop, and it's a hard stop. Once it hits it, I'm just out of there. Yeah, good. And here goes CCL. Same thing with me at CCL to the top side here. If it hits at 11.96, we are going to be out of that one. It does, we short, and we get out. We could have basically got out for flat. Our average price, I think, is 76.2. So we could have got out right here at 80, but we do think that this one can fall down here, especially if these futures go. And basically Pinterest right now back down to 16 TAL. We can review our trades. Why don't we put up our trades, what we have right now? I've already had 74 fills, but here, hopefully this works for us right now. And there it comes. Okay, good. Position board on. CCL, short 11.76. We just talked about that. That's 7 cents out. Our Pinterest is 40 cents in the money, and our TAL is 38. So let's wait and see there.
3 shorts, 2 in the money, and 1 is CCL. So we never know what that's going to do, but it looks like right now it's back to that 80 level. So we may take some off and then re-engage in the short if it gets back to 90, guys.
Sean, your friend here, and I apologize for this wick. I'll go to a different chart in a second. Microsoft about to turn negative on the session with this little rollover in the futures. So if I go to a 3-minute, maybe it'll look a little bit better here. Look at where we were at the close yesterday. There was after market, there was a bit of consolidation, 163.50. That's an interesting level for me if we get down there on softy. And ultimately, it's not going to necessarily coincide with any kind of a bottom on the ES or the overall futures, guys. So you're going to look for maybe some consolidation. If we turn around, that could be a buy point. So 163.50 or so. I'd love to see softy consolidate there. If it does, that's a big buy signal for me.
Yeah, exactly. And if consolidation ever happens on any stock, Neil and I definitely like those names. Okay, here we go. So I just took out some CCL there at 83 for a little bit of pain there. We are short 76, so now our price 77, but we're going to wait to see here if it does break it back above that 1196. I loved it when we broke right here. You can see we got some nice little action. We go short 74 and off that 75 break. Get out 68, but no follow through on that name. But we are getting some follow through right now on TAL. It's right at that kill spot right now. So we're going to see here if it does break back down below 50, even 50.20. Sorry, here it is. Some decent size right here. Maybe we should get out a little bit because there it goes. Another bounce off that 50.25, guys.
Yeah, I mean that TAL. The only good thing I can say about trying this long position is the fact that the 50.20 has turned out to be a good level, but my price isn't a good price either. So look, you can have a level all you want, you can have an idea, but execution does matter. You don't want to jump into things too early. I got impatient. Instead of having a quarter of my position at the top end of the range, I end up with half of it because of that impatience, and that's going to grossly affect the price that you get. But it's also 10 o'clock, and our good friend Brendan Wickens is up at the board for Happening Now.
Hey guys, yeah, 10 o'clock already, 30 minutes in the book. Let's have a look at what is happening now as far as North American markets are concerned. We're in positive territory, but definitely off the highs that we were seeing before. 0.5% for the S&P, the Dow about the same. Tech stocks were leading initially. They are starting to come back a bit, but the NASDAQ here still up about 0.5%. Also, small caps doing quite nicely today. The Russell up 1.5% on the morning so far. Here in Toronto, we had some weakness in the banking group, some energy stocks coming back. I'll show you some cannabis names as well. TSX basically flat at this point. Down in Brazil, the BOVESPA, a positive day so far, 0.7%. This thing's been moving around 5, 6, 7% on a daily basis. So to see a day like that is a little bit more normal, as that is not the right screen at all. Yeah, we're going to have to fix that. Some weed names I was talking about. We had cannabis moving to the downside after the open. We also had some of the banks, TD especially, did gap higher, but then got a bit of a retracement after a gap higher. So some of the banks causing a little bit of weakness for the TSX as well, guys. Still in positive territory, but overall coming back a little bit. Back over to you.
Right, we're getting out of some Pinterest here. As I didn't even notice it gets all the way back here, but we're very, very light and now out of Pinterest. But here goes CCL. So we did get some out, and here we go, guys. Our average price is now 78. So CCL back downside, finally making this move down. I like it a lot because the future's really not moving too much here. It's lower highs here as we tick all the way down, but we do have to watch out for this level here. Remember, guys, Neil and I trading here, prop firm in Toronto, Ontario. So hit the like, hit the subscribe. We're gonna be back every single day as long as we're open, and we just confirmed there. Friday, obviously Good Friday, we will not be here. So do not tune in then. Spend it with your family, obviously, on Good Fridays. But here goes CCL again. We just take that out at 71.
Sean, we just got to reopen on MBRX there, and I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. It actually, our last out was at a $1.44. It's now moving up from that level, so I've moved my stop down once again to just above VWAP. If it breaks a 160, we'll be out. Otherwise, we're looking to hold the last of our trade for a retake of 145, and at that point, your target's going to be around that 130 mark. So either breaks 160 up, or we get 130 or so to the downside. 174 is our price, so that could be a fantastic win for us, about a 25% return on the last 20% of your position. And again, you sort of play these halts, and this is what you have to do. You look for the action post-halt, find a defined range that you can work off of so you can stick to your rules as best you can. 56 million in volume. It should be a good stock all day long, but it's been a banger for us so far. TAL, Sean, it's bouncing a little bit here, but this is what happens when you don't have your structure correct in your trade. I end up with a 51 average price. So when you get this little bounce, we get a nice retracement. I'm not taking it out for any profit up here at 50.75. So if it rolls over, I can take a quarter off. But ultimately, it's actually a quarter off for a loser instead of a quarter off for flat or a small win, which you would ideally like to be doing on that nice bounce in TAL off that 50-20 that we called out.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why we punch this stock in the face, and look where we get out here, guys, on TAL. I mean, I'm still holding 10%, but bang, we take that first move on that break, 70s, out 45s, that's 30 pennies, right? Then we take it out right here, that's 50 pennies. And then we notice that it's bouncing right here off 20, so we get 25s. So it's a win-win situation. Like Neil said, it's mac and cheesy. Doesn't get much easier on TAL than that. So good little trade there. As now it's going back to the upside. CCL still here, guys. Yeah. We're still short 78. A couple good outs down here, 73 and 71. I still like this thing to crack lower. So let's wait to see CCL maybe even lower today than 50. So let's wait to see if this one can go for us.
I almost don't want to be celebrating on TL. We just get some shares out there at 51.02. That's basically a flat trade. I mean, we took a hit on the first quarter, 25-cent hit. We're basically getting out flat. Now we're holding the second half, needing it to retest 52. And again, all this is solved if you have most of your entry in front of the level that you're playing. So you got to be patient with some of these stocks when it's got a bigger range. That's the story here. I'm going to recap after we come back from Brendan, working that short in Tiffany. That's one we'll be in all day long. But we are in the money 30 or 40 cents in that and starting to take some shares off. Brendan, what do you got?
I mentioned Kohl's earlier showing some strength. Here's another retailer, Bed Bath & Beyond, 15% on the day. Nice look here. Went through 5 right at the open. We're all the way to 550 now for Bed Bath & Beyond. Wanted to mention Hexo as well real quick, guys. Hexo, big mover to the downside here in Toronto, 28%. That was a share offering, so Hexo all the way back to 70 cents right now, guys.
Yeah, we hit the air horn here on CCL, guys, because here's that break. I just talked all about this to you guys, and that we thought we could break through 70, and that would be cash money. We do go short again, 66, so our average price right now, 71, and our risk has increased. So let's wait to see here what this thing can do to the downside. Of course, you do get that move down in the futures here, so if the market can continue to fall, I do like CCL to the downside. We'll just continue to hammer this one. Pinterest, 31 cents in the money. TAL, 24 cents, in the money, and CCL coming back upside. We're short 71s after capturing some profits there at 62. Not enough. We'll wait to see if it comes back down there.
I'm going to jump you guys back to IQ, which tested that bottom again at 16. It's held now twice. I might start to look to get a little more aggressively out of this position. I'm long basically in front of VWAP here at 16.30. So you are at this point risking 30 cents when it doesn't seem like the upside is going to be too much more than that. You thought maybe it would have a bigger leg up before, but now I'm going to tighten up this stop to this higher low at 16.06, guys. So just risking a little bit less on this position, watching the futures roll over and it not bounce through VWAP here. So it's not that I'm taking it off. I'm just moving my stop up so you're risking less when you're counter trend. And there goes Tiffany. We get about a 20% of our position out for about a 40-cent win. We'll cover that in a bit. But Brennan, what do you got?
A nice look for both FedEx and UPS so far today, guys. FedEx here 6.5% to the upside. Just broke that pre-market high on decent volume. Amazon announced they're going to suspend temporarily their U.S. shipping. So both FedEx and UPS getting a bump on that, guys.
And guys, I mean, look. It's catapult time right here, and I'm glad that you have that. I see you modern investors on there as well. I hope you guys do that. I know you like that mac and cheesy there, but look, sometimes it is pretty easy here. Look at this. All these CCL shorts, short here, short here, short here, short again here. All these blues are covering. So we've got a nice little trade on right now on CCL. Guys, we're short 111.66. We've been covering some here at 59 is our best out so far. Pinterest, still a 42-cent banger, man. We're light on it, but we still do have some shares here. We're going to take this one to the downside now. 15.90, I'm looking at you right in the face. We'll put an order there, see if that can break. If it does, then lower, lower, or lower on this one. But there goes CCL 55s. I told you guys, rewind. Where's our rewind thing? I have no idea, but we're going to hit a switch anyways. I said CCL could touch 1150 today. That's when it was at 1180. So there it is right there. Shout out to anybody that has this one. Big time win. You put on the trade, it goes up in smoke, the stock, and you're short. So there you go. CCL, you're welcome, everybody. I hope you have this one with us.
Guys, I talked about Tiffany. I'm going to show you the entire week on this one, the last few sessions anyways. You can see these massive moves to the upside to about 129, 130. And that was the level we're working off of. So you know it's going to be thin off of the open, and I work into it in front of those highs. So you get this 129, you get 129.25. I try to get a few more shares on the way back in, but now that it breaks back below, look what's happened and when it retakes this price in consecutive sessions. You get moves all the way down to that 128 to 128.50. This is what we're anticipating here, guys. So this is one of those things where you just notice a pattern, you have a risk structure along, and now we're going to work out of this trade as it gets in the money for us. So that's a nice trade in Tiffany. I want out all the way down into this 128.25. We're short 129.20. Last of it will be about a buck winner. I'll get you guys back to MBRX because I told you what we would do here with the last of the shares, and it's only going to be a 15-penny winner on the last bit. So it turns out right before the halt, that 30-penny win on the 175 short was going to be the best it ever was. So if we do bounce off of that, this is why once it opens back up, you have to make a quick decision as to how you want to play it. I'm not going to be greedy. I'll take the last bit off for the nice 15-cent winner.
There's some smoking right now because look at CCL, guys. 1130 right now. So, there's the call right there for you guys. A shout out to Carlos from Bear Bull Traders. I know these guys are all over CCL. I'm going to shout them out on Twitter, guys. Hit the like, hit the subscribe to us. Come back every day. I'm going to have these, hopefully going to have these winners for you guys all the time. There's a 20-penny winner. Look what we have on right now. Let's just do it. Let's update our board. Hopefully you guys can have these with me every day. This has been a great day so far today. Check this out. Here we go. CCL short, 35-penny winner. Pins is a 40-penny winner. TAL, 45-penny winner. That's how we're doing it, guys. 3 shorts. Those are my 3 positions. Let's sit down and collect the money here, guys. As Pokeroo goes, we love trading, but we are ready for upgrades and downgrades. Let's slow it down a bit with Brendan Wickens.
Hey guys, yeah, I'll have a look at some upgrades and downgrades today. Some interesting moves on this board as per usual. I want to focus on Twitter here in a second, but yeah, nice 3.3% move for Twitter today. Haven't had a look at that one yet. We will show you in a sec. Darden Restaurants, Enbridge, and Unilever on this side. To the downside, AMC, Denny's, Pinterest, and Wayfair. Pinterest, yeah, 6.5% on the day, even with the downgrade. Obviously updating their Q2 forecast, saying they're fine. Nothing's going to be wrong. Wayfair to the downside here, 1.75% in negative territory. I'll show you Twitter first here, gapping up. We did get a bit of a flush here down to 26, but we're about halfway back, trying to hold this pre-market level, 26.35, 26.40 area. If we can hold 26.40, might get another test of highs for Twitter. Twitter holding up nicely so far today. Same story for Wayfair. Did gap down with the downgrade, 72 at the bottom here. We're back to 77, where it was trading in the afternoon yesterday. This top up here, 78 and change. So we need to get above 78 to kind of get any kind of follow through for Wayfair, but also relatively strong so far. Guys, back over to you.
Thank you very much, Brendan. We got a couple of long positions that are working. The futures just bounced off 26, 52 or so on the ES, but one of them is going to be TAL. We're starting to work it a little bit better here off that 50-20. A couple of entries on that bounce. So again, look at this level here. This is the level we gave pre-market. Tune in at 9 o'clock. We love this 50-20 level on TAL. They bounced once. The second time we reload there, just took some shares off, about a quarter of the position again for about a 40-cent win. The other bounce we're getting is an IQ. 16 even was the level that we wanted to work off of there. You can see it basically was bouncing off of this higher low, 1606. I moved my stop up to risk less, and then we just took some shares out there in front of 1650. So again, we're working both of these long positions with very, very tight stops. A good bounce in the futures, certainly helping us out there. And of course, Tiffany's still in the money on the short side. I do want to see if we can hopefully retest that 2630. I'd love that level on the ES to really pick up some of these names at fantastic prices. One could be Disney at that level. It's now below $100 again, so you got a break of 100. Just made a bottom at 98.50. Watch that one very closely on that bad news.
Yeah, here comes CCL back to the upside. We still are short 66, so we will, I don't know, we'll maybe take some out here at 60. There we go. Took a little bit out there for that 6 penny winner. Cashed it all out on the downside, so we are pretty flat now on everything. Pins. There we go. We take a look at this price we just got out there. I don't know if you guys were able to see this one, but I'm going to tweet this out as well. Follow me on Twitter, but look at this trade on Pinterest. This for me today has been my best idea. While CCL I kind of like because we were able to average into that one multiple times and take on more risk, but Pinterest, we talk about that one. So we go from a nice little smiling guy here on Pinterest with these nice little outs down here. It's been a big trade for us. I hope you guys like that. Yeah, we'll look at MBRX again. That's actually the only losing trade that I have on today. Check the profits below. Check everything. You know, you guys can see that we're trading these markets all live. That's the other thing too. We're all trading these executions are live. You can see them hit. You can see the timer. I think there's like a 5 or 6, 7 second delay or so here on YouTube. So as we get bigger and better, hopefully they'll correct that one for us. But Pinterest, still 30 pennies. TAL is flat. In CCL, we're working that position, guys.
Yeah, quick look at that TAL. Actually just took some more shares off there at about 50, 58. We're still holding on to half the position, basically that reload that you see there. So our price now literally 15.29. That's basically going to be right at that nice little bottom. If we get to move up to VWAP, I will take some off right here in front of 51 and then see if we can hold the rest for that little home run if we can get it, guys. So TAL starting to work out now that we're playing that level a little bit better than we did previously. So there's the out there for 70 pennies. The 50-20 level has worked out fantastically for us. The long on this is basically off of that level. That's your entire reason for being in. That's why you're holding it here. But just note, you can't get above VWAP. The futures aren't testing those highs, so you got to be a little bit worrisome here at how many times you want to reload. It's bounced great 2 times. I think at this point, if it goes down there again, I'll load up for half the amount, but not the full load in front of that 50-20 on TAL. Brennan, what do you got?
A lot of these little mortgage REITs going crazy again today, guys. EFC, Ellington Financial here, 64% to the upside. Just breaking as we speak, even some buying coming in back above this 850 area. It's tested it a number of times. If we can get above 850, this thing may have some room to the upside. EFC moving, guys.
EFC, yeah, that was that one of the short seller, right? So yeah, EFC there, looking to make some moves. Okay, other than that, guys, I'm not doing too much here. I just did take some short on TAL, looking for some more opportunities. Let's check out XOM maybe on the downside, I think, as oil's still up 4.5% today. XOM kind of lagging with only up 1.7, but that's a good number for them today. Look at this drop that XOM had in the afternoon yesterday, $43 before closing at 41. In change. So does XOM have room to go? It sure does, but we're going to have to wait on it to see what it wants to do, because right now, 41.62, that's not there. This is what you call pretty choppy, guys. 41.80 up to 42.14, back down to 41.80, back to 42. So I think you can have a breakthrough of 41.76, but we will need, and I'll pull up my oil chart here, we will need crude. No, where did it go? Here it is. We will need crude to start to fall here. We are up nicely on crude. You can see this bottom, 23.80, making a move up to 25 before fading back right now. So if crude can break down this 24.66 level, I think you can have a decent winner on XOM to the short side, but crude needs to break. Let's call it 24.50. If we can break all the way down here, XOM should crack with it.
Missed the boat, guys, on APT, and I just put the graphic up there for you because this was a great retracement play as well. You get the consolidation, very similar to MBRX. You get the consolidation pre-market, and then it never even tests the top end of that range. And you talk about maybe taking it here at 1450 or so, but even if you had it on the retest of the opening range, about 939, 940 here, you're getting a great short at 14 even. It makes a dollar move to the downside. So look, this is the structure of what you're looking for, so that when you see it, you can put that trade on. So we did it over in MBRX. It was a little bit messier to try to execute that trade. Very clean here on APT Alpha Pro Tech. So worth a note here. You want to look at some of these high flyers up 10, 15, sometimes 100%, and look for the retracement play when the structure is there. I'm going to take you guys back to our last shares in TAL. It is finally, and I say finally, gotten back above VWAP, just failed through 51.50. We're long our last quarter here at 50.29, so we're $1 in the money. Given the weakness that it's had, it's going to be hard for me to get behind taking too much more than that. We'd have done much better on this trade, I think, if we had structured it a little bit better in terms of our entry, we're more aggressive at the bottom, didn't try it at the top. But there you go, our last exit on TAL. We'll floss it off. We get about 90 pennies on that last little win there. The reload at the bottom is key. Our level is held. We'll take it again one more time for half the risk if it gets down there. But we're liking TAL at 50-20, great level.
Okay, MRSN, Brendan, why don't we have a look at that one? I don't know what that's doing. A big shot up from 7 straight up to 10 right now. MRSN here, Mersana Therapeutics. So a nice little move up here. If you guys are looking at that, we look to see if we break through $10 coming up now. So that could be a juicy one to say the least. But here we go. Looks like it's going to take 10 right now. MRSN must have something there. I see that you're looking that up now, Brendan. So we'll throw to that right now. What's up, Brendan?
Yeah, the only thing really, they raised some money. It looks like they raised $65 million in gross proceeds through an at-market facility. So moving around, little therapeutics company, MRSN. Yeah, all kinds of volume, more than 100 times relative volume today, guys.
Yeah, wow.
Thanks, look there. I see you asking there, Grace, about APT. I was just sort of analyzing it myself. I think you get this little bounce back. There was consolidation in front of that 14 right here at 1385, 1390. But, you know, if I look at NVAX, that quick little in and out that didn't work, risking only about 10, 15 cents, it's not a lot of risk. And if you retest the low, that's going to look like a 4 to 5 to 1 win-loss ratio. And I usually like those. But I'm probably going to go lighter risk on this play because you do miss that initial entry point. And that's the better trade right here at 940. And when you're taking it off a level the second time, the third time, the fourth time, you can't anticipate that it's going to be as good. So I would be careful with risk. It's worth a look. I'm going to take it in front of 14, but it's a tight stop, and it's not going to be with any kind of size that I would have played in MBRX, or if I caught that, 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, okay, I'm just checking out, clearing up our stop orders, and we sometimes use stop orders. I use them all of the time, so let's just put a little description of what a stop buy looks like there at the bottom. It's just a target limit. Once it's hit, it executes and throws something out for us to trade with. Okay, so CCL here, we're out, and I have 40 shares left. I don't even know what to do with these. I'm just trying to work them and do absolutely nothing with them. So we're going to look to see take a serious position at some point here on CCL, and I think it has to break, now that I look at this thing, it has to break above 77 here at least. So this 80, it resisted 80 here. And I know I have a lot of executions, but this is that 80 level. It came up, bounced and broke down. So yeah, a couple bounces off this. We like to see it break even higher. Maybe even it needs to get up here 1193 before we get serious about any kind of longs in CCL. But it's been a big one for us today. Obviously, we hammered the pavement. We pounded the pavement on this short here. Bang, 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 all the way down and took it out for the majority down there. So CCL, a big winner for us. I still have all 3 of those stocks short side right now.
It's time, and look, it's already 10:20, and we're going to have our small cap recap with Brendan, but also stay tuned because we have our guest coming through at 10:30. It's going to be a fantastic one we're looking forward to, but right now, small cap recap with Brendan Wickens.
Yeah, a couple of these little vaccine-related companies moving again in the pre-market this morning. If you joined us at 9 o'clock, we talked about a couple of them. NVAX was definitely one of them. What a reversal this thing had. Back to the upside. We're through the highs now on significant volume. Check out the volume down here, lifting this thing back to positive territory. Tight little consolidation above 17, broke to the downside. As soon as that broke, gave you an easy punch to the short side. Got flushed all the way down to the low there was like 16.15, 16.16. So all kinds of opportunity on the short side. And then I got away from this thing, but back above 17 here, gave you a nice long opportunity on NVAX as well. The other one, Alpha Pro Tech, they provided an update on their manufacturing of masks and also other health-related protective equipment. Huge orders coming in for this company, so definitely positive here in the pre-market. Got all the way up to 15.50. Tight little consolidation into the open. $14 right here. Definite level in the pre-market, $14.50. I went back to yesterday at the open, found that $14.50 area. We obviously never got there, but was really looking for a place to add to this short up around $14.50. Didn't happen, but still gave you an opportunity there. $13.80 down to about $13. 13 even ended up being the bottom on APT. So NVAX and APT, great opportunities both directions today, guys. Back over to you.
All right.
Yeah, I just talking to Chicago 1807 there, guys, in the chat. Obviously, I'm looking at a lot of these names today, and I was just going over MBRX and APT, and then NVAX makes that little break through the upside. I was just mentioning how, you take that short structure in APT. Hey. This is why you have the tight stop, because NVAX is the same thing. So I covered mine, basically getting out for a small hit here on a 1670 short when it breaks 85, and this is why you got to take it out. It can be fantastic wins. You can make 50 cents, $1, whatever it is, but you got to have an out somewhere. This is what will happen. It took out that pre-market top here at 40s. Yes, that's a good long, but obviously it's too late for it now. But that's what you should be looking for, Chicago.
Yeah, okay, I see that Tilray move there, and I'm going to go over to CGC here. Makes a similar move all the way to 1479 there. So I'm going to put my order to go long around this area, 1470, 1480 or so. But, I could fade right back down. So you have to watch out how many shares you do want to use on this one. But right now we have 3 shorts on. This TAL, we took some more up here at 51. So this is now coming down into the money right now. We could take that off for another 12, 13 pennies. I still am waiting for a little more, though. We'll see if we can't capture some 50-55s all the way down here on TAL. This educational name today. We've been trading that a lot. And then we also still do have this Pinterest to the south side. We have Sean Shirzadi coming from the Flemington Food Bank. And, of course, we do a lot of business or a lot of work with them. Charitable donations coming through. And we'll have yet another one today. So check him out, coming out live from the food bank at about 10:30 with Brendan. So we'll be doing a little giving back, and we hope that you guys do that also to some of your local charities and whatnot during this time. Obviously, it's a big time of need here, not only in Toronto, but North America, Europe. I know there's some of you guys from UK as well. So it's a difficult time for everybody. So we are going to bring Sean on from the food bank just so you can hear some of his stories and what those guys need over there at the food bank.
Yeah, quick look over at that MBRX, guys. We do still have that same range that we're putting in. So, look, it's very similar to when we had that setup here between 180 and then you had that 165 little bottom that we were playing off of. Now you're just looking at where we got out, our last exit before that bottom side halt at 144. That's basically the low. It ticked below on the reopen, but not a lot of shares went off down there. So you're still looking at about a 145 bottom and then this 160 end here. I think realistically, if you want to play inside the range, just be tight. Don't play the middle. But a break in either direction is probably going to be a solid one. In terms of room to the downside, I was looking at a perfect target of 80 cents, but that seems rather unlikely given that it has to chew through a buck even as well. So I like the upside break there. If it can take out 160, maybe you get a nice scalp on MBRX. The story might not be done in that one. I'll review my positions. Only a couple on right now. 1 short, 1 long that are worth mentioning. Of course, we still have that IQ long at 1620, holding that 16 even. I moved my stop up to 1605 on that one, and then Tiffany still short at 129.20 or so, and that one basically at 129. We've taken some off at in the mid 80s there. Want to see if we can hold the rest for a bigger flush on Tiffany, but it's a very structured trade. I showed you guys what the chart looked like. We can review it as we take some of those shares off later.
933.50. Okay, and that's good. Okay, yeah, just reviewing our trade of the day, guys. It'll be on Apple and it'll be later on. So that'll be at 11 o'clock. So we do have Sean coming up right now. As I look back at the positions and ho-hum, not much happening. Let's check back in on XOM. And look, part of being a successful trader, obviously, is that you don't pound the keys all the time. You need to wait for something to happen. And I love trading XOM, and right now it's not doing anything. So we're going to go back to another name that I continue to trade and like on a daily basis, and that's Uber. And look at this again, another bunch of nothing happening. We need this market to do something. It did fall back down. Look where we bounce off, 26.50. You do make that bottom here at 646. You make it again here right now about 25 minutes ago, 26.53. So watch out for 26.50 to break on the bottom side, and a couple tops up here, 26.80 or so. So right now we are literally right in between these two things. So we're gonna have to wait for something special to happen. I don't know if we have any economic numbers coming up or not as I look through the board. But we do have oil, I think, at 10:30. Yeah, so oil's coming out at 10:30. Just confirmed that, obviously, with Brendan on a short week here. So we're going to see about that in approximately 3 minutes, guys.
Yeah, quick little look, asking a couple of guys in Grace. I know you're asking about MYO. It is up 40%. It is a mover. Liquidity on this one's not absolutely fantastic. So when you talk about levels on some of these more liquid stocks like an MBRX, you're probably able to pin it down to that exact price. On an MYO, it's more of an area because you're executing through a price range depending on how many shares you're trading. So I would watch out with this one. It's going to be a little bit more dangerous. It was probably a much better break when you took 490 if you're looking at that. Looking at it at the top here at 530, look, you're going to take this trade to the long side, maybe get slipped 5-10 pennies here, and then immediately run into resistance at 580. So yeah, it might win for you. Not my cup of tea. If you bring this to your attention earlier on that tight consolidation, like we're seeing in MBRX, you can take the initial move, which is always going to be better. You want the tighter consolidation where it sort of teeters off a little bit. Then you get that more clean break. Easier to get shares here in front of that 5 even, and then work that 30-40 cent win than it is to try to take it at 530, 540, where there's just not a lot of liquidity. So MYO, not necessarily for me. I liked it a lot better underneath that $5 mark. If it gets back down there, I'm actually looking at some shorts on a retracement play. I love those a heck of a lot better sometimes.
Okay, we're going to check in on, I do like to look here. We'll give a shout out to Jeff Mendel here for OTC markets. Let's just see, we get out of our CCL, we just got out for flat there. No idea what we wanted to do here, but this is a good little website to check out here. Okay, I see I check on trades and I give them a shout out, but it looks like they're, is this working? No, I don't even see it's working right now. But you can see here the most active, 10 cent, that's a good name, TCEHY. The only place to trade this, TCEHY, is on the pink sheets. This is 10 cent. They're like the everything over there in China. They have 10 cent music TME over here as well. Not much happening on this name as well. Just want to check in 700,000 shares. That's a decent number, but if you are looking to get some exposure there in China, 10 cent may be a good one for you guys. As here we go, futures Neil now pointing out to that 2680.
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to see, look, either we could test that 2630, which we would love to be able to do. I mean, that's going to be the nice little mark there. But the other thing is just make a run at the high of the day. You want some direction in this market, but I'm now back looking at this MBRX, and I'm going to zoom out just so you can look at the entirety of the pre-market and why. You know, if I zoom in here, you're going to think, why am I taking 145 short? Look at that wall at 130. But this is why, because there is some potential to come all the way back in. It was a 56 cent stock yesterday, so as much as the news was good, you've got to watch out for some of these retracement plays. It is selling off. The volume is very, very good. You can get in and out very actively here, so whether you're playing the top end of the range short 160 in front of that level, now that it's cooled off, or the 144 break. I like both of those plays. Check that 145. So MBRX is back on the radar, short in front of 160 with a possible reverse, but also short on a 145 break.
Look, we're gonna trade XOM in a minute here, but I am going to address that question there from Chicago, or that comment. I would stay away from pink sheets. I would completely disagree with that, and I'm going to tell you why after we do our oil number with Brendan. So I think it's still 10:30, so we're only 20 seconds away from that one. If we want to throw to Brendan now, I guess. Are we ready, guys? Okay, let's do it.
There we go. Yeah, let's have a look at crude oil inventories. Guys, just pulling up the calendar here, getting set for that. It is Wednesday, obviously. Looks like we're expecting a build of just over 9 million barrels. If I can zoom in on this, might make it a little bit easier to see. Yeah, 9 million expected. Wow, huge build. 15.1 million to the upside after 9 million expected. So a big build on crude inventories there, guys.
Yeah, so we just punched a short there on that number. Thank you, Brendan. That's why we throw to you. We're going to wait to see what happens now. A big build. So that should mean the price of oil heading southbound, but it is not. As you can see, oil now bumping upside here. You can see 24.73. Actually, it does initially head southbound. So we will see what happens. We are now short XOM at 88 here. Not really moving though. So big build doesn't mean too much to the stock. We are short XOM right now though. 88s. Let's see what happens. We're at 85 right now, guys.
Yeah, quick move to the downside. And this is why I moved my stop up in IQ here, guys. It rolls over towards that higher low. That's at 1605. So it looks like it's going to break, and we're just going to trigger out of this one immediately in front of the low of the day. People are piling up on this short, trying to get short this name on a 16 break. So look at this demand for the short here, as it's SSR, short sell restricted. It means you can't hit that bid unless you're a seller. If you're a short seller, you got to wait for an uptick, so a green print here from the offer. 16 even should be a massive break here on IQ once it does happen, but lots of demand for it. It might take some time to chew through that level. Might be able to play it on a bit of a bounce play into 1610 and 1615 if you want to short it that way. That's an effective way to do it, but we've been teeing it up and waiting for it all morning. We're very excited for this. Time for our guest of the day with Brendan Wickens.
All right, guys. Yeah, very happy to have Sean Shirzadi from Watchfinder.ca back on the show live today from the Flemington Food Bank here in Toronto. We had Sean on the show last week, discussed a lot about a lot of people in need, obviously, right now with everything that is going on. He talked about a number of things as far as what they are in desperate need of when it comes to food and also some cooking oil. We'll bring in Sean and check in with him live today, as I mentioned, from the food bank. How's it going today, Sean?
Hi guys, how are you? Thank you again for having me on the show. We're doing good. We got 2 skids of rice today. We're still looking for oil. I've just been on the hunt everywhere trying to look for some wholesale prices for our food bank. So a lot of people are being generous. They're donating money. Our landlord just donated money. I think you guys are on schedule to do something today. Very excited. The shelves are full, but this is just today. We're only open 2 days a week. We have about 5 volunteers in here. They're all safe. They're all got masks on, gloves on, hand sanitizers. We ended up, from your last donation, we ended up buying about 300 bottles. I found a wholesaler last night, so we're on the grind to find wholesale food.
Yeah.
I had a meeting with...
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I had a meeting with a fellow out of Ottawa that's doing the Hamza project. I don't know if you guys see him. His name is Abbas. He used to own UHM. He's feeding over 1,000 or 2,000 seniors there, delivering food to the seniors that can't leave their house. So we're in the midst of partnering up with them to do the same thing in Toronto, because there's so many seniors that can't leave their homes. So my thing to your viewers is if you got people around you, give us a call or give the local food bank a call and go pick up a box and leave it outside their door. I think they're the most needy right now.
Yeah, it's a obviously very trying time, very stressful time. You mentioned it briefly there, Sean. Trader TV happy to donate $1,500 last week when we had you on the show. $1,500 again this week, and we'll do it again next week. So helping out where we can. I mean, it's a little goes a long way. I hope you mentioned the hand sanitizers that you were able to get last week. Is there anything specific that you want to tell people about today? You mentioned the cooking oil there briefly.
I need help. All this, not to be rude or to the government, all these subsidies that are coming out, they're not getting in the hands of the people. They allocated $100,000 for a food bank. If you see the application, it's like 1,000 pages. I have even some of my staff here, they're saying they haven't got any of the support. And this is the needy of the needy, right? So all these grants that you hear about on the news is just for show. It hasn't trickled down to the smaller guys, that the most people in need. That's who has to get in their hands. So get on the phone call your MPP, call Doug Ford, and let them know that there's real people on the ground that need it. It's all fun and games for the TV, but the seniors that are sitting at home, nobody's checking on them. They're not allowed to leave. They're in quarantine. They're scared something would happen. We got to get to those people. So next week, we have on Tuesday, we are going to try to feed about 400 kids here in Thorncliffe and Flemmel, because the food bank on the other side of us just closed down. So 8 food banks in the Toronto area has closed down. Where are those people? Those people are sitting at home. They don't know what to do. So I'm calling on everybody that does well in life, or even the smallest thing you can do, show up, help us, give us a hand. Give your neighbor a hand.
Yeah, very well said. Obviously, give everyone maybe the hours of operations. When are you there, and when can people come down and speak to you?
For safety reasons, we're only open 2 days a week right now. We went from 5 days to 2 days. We're cramping everybody. We're here from 9 a.m. to about 5 o'clock to serve everybody. Now we're starting to make boxes for seniors. Sorry, guys. We're making boxes for seniors. And on the next show, I'm going to show you what a box looks like that lasts these people a week. It wouldn't last you guys half a day. So these guys make it go a long way, even the little bit that they have. You can get a hold of us as if you through Instagram, you'll see what we're doing, FC Food Bank or fcfoodbank.com. But it's not just our food bank. Look up your local food bank and help them. It doesn't have to be here. Just a lot of people are from different areas. Just go to everybody needs help right now. Everybody.
And I think it's important to mention, Sean, obviously when it comes to a financial donation, anything can help at this point. I mean, if somebody, if you can only afford $5, $10 kind of thing, I think people should not be shy in that case.
doesn't matter. Do your little part right now in getting through this. This is going to last another couple of months. And another thing is a lot of restaurants that aren't open anymore. They got tons of food in there, tons of dry goods. If you guys can donate even that stuff, or if you want to do a cash donation, if you want a tax receipt, you go to our website, you press donate, and then they'll send you a receipt automatically. Or you can come down to the food bank, drop off a check, come give us a hand. We have enough volunteers right now, so we're not looking for anybody to volunteer. But once we start our senior program, we're going to look for drivers. So keep in touch with me. We'll talk about it more next week. And hopefully Tuesday, we're going to have a lot of kids out. I'm going to try to get Toys R Us to bring us some coloring books. And then we'll update you guys what we're doing week by week.
Yeah, we put the website up on the screen there, guys. If you're interested, anything can help. Obviously, go check out the website. Get in touch with Sean. Again, just to reiterate, Trader TV donating, very happily. Last week, $1,500. We'll do the same today. Sean's going to join us again next week, and we'll donate another $1,500 at that point. So, best of luck,
okay,
Sean. Obviously, a very difficult time at this point, but I mean, you're doing great work, and applause for you and all the staff there.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your donation. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go, guys. Sean Shirzadi from Watchfinder and also from Flemington Food Bank. I mean, if there's anything, as Sean said there, anything financially or as far as, canned goods, anything that is non-perishable, he is in need of help at this point. Let's go back to the guys.
Yeah, just a fantastic interview. We're very, very happy to be a part of that. It's something we're going to continue to do while this happens. Of course, we're doing our distancing, as you guys can see here. This is obviously a trying time for a lot of people, but the markets are still here. They're still open. We're still going to bring them to you guys. The future's bouncing up towards that top, that 2690 or so, 2700 big level on the ES, and we're going to watch that closely. IQ, and I talked about the fact that it's a short sale restricted and you can't hit that bid, but crazy action here at 16 even. It made a bottom here once. We worked that long a couple of times here, getting out in front of 1650 and then eventually taking it off when it broke 1605. Now we're working a short position. I want to work a short in front of VWAP in 1620 here, but I want to add to it on a 16 break if I can. But the reason why I'm taking some shares in front is on the break, it might be just impossible to get any liquidity. It could be a big time flush. I want to make sure I have some exposure before that breaks, so in case it goes all the way down to the pre-market low instantly at 1560, I got a little something on to be able to take advantage. So IQ, watch this level. It's been bouncing over and over again for the last 5-10 minutes now.
Yeah, I'm going to put an order in right now to take this one for sure. So we'll take a couple hundred shares on that one. Again, you got to share size appropriately based on the day or the time right now, not 5,000, maybe 500 shares on this one. So yeah, IQ. Okay, we have worked our way into some weed here. So we'll hit that weed Batman sign. That's not a good one. We take 1480 long off that initial break, and then we average in 71, and now we average in 67. Again, we're playing, there's a VWAP right here at 1458 that we're looking at, probably more importantly 1450, but so we could take a bath on this one, but we are going to wait to see if there's anything happening there. Just to check in on our XOM, we went light and then it broke up and we got out, and then it comes crashing right back down. So bad out, we lose next to nothing. I should have averaged in. Again, look, it breaks through 42 here, and that VWAP, I get out not really thinking what's going to happen. And as you can see here, as I'll pull the oil chart back up to you guys here, it was just a little bit of a wild ride. I see some of you talking about USO. That's a great name to trade as well. Tons of liquidity. Doesn't move as much as these stocks, but you can see oil resists that 25 even mark, gets as high as 25.20 before dropping back down. Look for this break in oil, 24.58. If that breaks, then we probably get that flush down in XOM that I initially was waiting for. But right now, the biggest position I have on here, guys, is CGC. So we're waiting on that one. Long right now, 76. It's fine, but look at the spread, 4 or 5 pennies it can get to. So you got to watch out. We do have a decent amount of shares. So nail biter right now on CGC. Let's hope we get back to the day's high.
All morning long, it's almost like APT is just staring me in the face, and I don't know why this is the one that we don't have executions on. I did try to pick this one up off the secondary move at 14. You couldn't get anything on the way down. It does retest lower, and once again, you just have to be a little bit more aggressive. The spread's only about a penny or two, but when it consolidates, you really got to get in in the first couple of minutes here. It looks like it maybe wants to retest that 1310. The next level now is 1370, so you can still use 14 even if you want. I'd like to go with tighter stops on the way down here, as it's not as good each time you test one of those levels. We're going to try and play APT finally in front of this 1350. I guess that'll be the next wave. We consolidate here in the 40s and 50s. We'll try it one more time, see if it can't test the bottom. Reload it in Tiffany, so more shares at 129.30. We'll work some of those out in the 120.80 to 120.9 even range. But the story for me right now is going to be this IQ. Short 1605. It keeps bouncing off this 16 level. I'll take more in front of 1620. Or I'll jump into more shares on a 16 break. Either way, I want more short in IQ, but it's got to take out this bid, which is just holding up over and over again. And while we work into this one, it's time for Sector Watch with Brendan.
Right across the board. We'll run the intro anyways, and now we'll get into Sector Watch. Nicely positive right across the board. It'll be okay, don't worry. The market, guys, up about a full percent here. We were 1% and change to the upside. Came back in a little bit there. I'll show you why. Flip over to this side first. Want to start down here with the industrials, CARR. 8% to the downside today. However, Boeing here still holding on to a nice 4% rally. We also have TDG, HWM, MAS and ROK all up more than 3% each, so offsetting this one. But overall, the industrials kind of dragging things back to the downside a little bit. Consumer discretionary stocks among the leaders as far as gainers go today. L Brands, KSS, JWN, mentioned a few of these earlier, and GPS, Gap, nice day, 7.3% back to the upside. There's also Expedia here having a nice day, 5.5%. One of the travel websites, obviously, back in positive territory. Some of the durable goods, really nice days. HBI, LEN, and DHI, 6 and more percent moves to the upside. Healthcare stocks, a little bit of negativity coming in, especially in the pharmaceutical group over here. MTD and TMO, about 2% each to the downside, where we have the equipment makers offsetting that. HCA, UHS, and DVA up about 7% each. Energy stocks are positive, even with that big oil number that we just had, still moving into positive territory. Real estate stocks, really nice day for some of those. You're going to find those little tiny mortgage REITs in that group, all in positive territory. Just wanted to point out Twitter, way over there, 5.4% still. Nicely higher on the day. Overall, guys, about 0.8% now. We're still kind of grinding back to the downside a little bit, but still in positive territory. Back over to you guys.
All right, we did take a Microsoft short there. We did hit that one for a nice little win. So we go short here, 45, out 24, out 11. Now still holding half of this trade as we go downside. We did get flushed out, though, of our CGC, but we get right back into it now and go long 54 again. I was waiting, I guess, not for 50 to break, and we got out there 53. So not really sure what happened there. So whenever we get out sort of on a bad candle there, I'm not sure where my stop order was exactly, but we did retake that long and it goes up to 60. Don't get any out there, but we're going to wait to see here. If it does break down below 50, we will get up, but we still are in that one. Our IQ, we're short that one as well on this break, so let's see what that one can do. Short right now, 1597, guys.
Yeah, IQ, we had a 1605 short added on the break. Wasn't able to get anything until about like 92, 93 there. So our average price ends up working out to about a 97, but we did take off some of those 05s down at 86. So you get 19 pennies on some of it. You're reloading. This is a position I'm probably going to stay net short until, the cows come home or you break VWAP, whichever one you want to pick here. We're willing to work back into this one at 16. Even above 16, I think, is going to be worth it here. So staying net short in IQ was a great long in front of that 16. Now that it's gone, and you got to work in the other direction, the trend is your friend. So we'll see if we can't play this one at least all the way down until this little pre-market bottom here at 1560. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, baby, this is a big home run here. Thanks for bringing this to our attention for IQ for me. I told you we take about 500 shares on it. So as we continue to go south side here, we're going to get out. I'm just getting out small. We'll see here. Again, if you can add, 50, 70, $100 to your day in a couple minutes, you definitely should be doing that one. Microsoft down, still hovering around here. We may take out this top. I'm going to get out here if we break above 164.60. So we take 30 or 40 pennies on the sell sell side, and then we'll look to lose 15 or 20 if it does break back northbound. But IQ now to 88, guys. I would love if that happens, Neil, that we could get all the way even lower down to this level, 1567. It'll be a decent little move there for us to put some profits back into our pocket today, baby.
Yeah, I mean, MBRX, you guys are talking about this when it is setting up to test that 180 again. And what I'm looking for here is 165 is that breakout price. So if it breaks that, I'm reversing long. But if it stays inside of this range, and we mentioned this before, 145 to 165, 20-cent range, I want to expose myself to a little bit of that profitability. So I get myself an average price of 160, you risk 5 cents, you reverse to the long if it breaks. Otherwise, you can take 5, 10, 15-cent scalps inside of this MBRX range. So you can play it, you can have your cake and eat it too on something like MBRX inside of this tight little range. But also it's about this IQ, Sean.
Yes, it is.
Look, we just broke down to 1580. I still have 1597 myself. I will take some of these shares out here at 81 if we can get it. We just saw a bit of a wall there, so just missed a bit of a punch. I will take the 15 pennies. On the second quarter of this position. It is that 65 that you're looking for at the ultimate bottom. 60 is the low, but you can just get out anywhere in front of that bottom. I think a break, it'll get you another opportunity to get back in. I think pullbacks I'm going to be playing as well. So IQ net short until VWAP breaks, baby. This is what we're doing here.
Yeah, that's what we're doing, and it's a big trade right there. So good job on IQ, Neil, and everybody that has that one on board. That's a good one. Okay, so we're going to wait to see the futures here bouncing around 2680 or so. We do have Mish Schneider coming up at 1140 from Market Gauge. So check my Twitter, check the show's Twitter out. Hit the like button. Here we just passed 100, I guess, for the day today, and we are going. Yeah, there's Valeria with that little celebration there for the likes on the chat. If you are watching us on Facebook, though, switch over, flip it over, come to YouTube here, where we do have a little bit of a bigger chat, a little more fun over here right now. But without any further ado, let's go to Captain Fun. What's up, Brendan?
Another name having a fun day. Mallinckrodt, guys, up 15% on the day. Testing this 245 area on decent volume, but had a huge volume spike as we made new highs a few minutes back. But Mallinckrodt, MNK, guys, 15% day.
Wow, I mean, that's a name that we usually have liked, a blast from the past. I mean, only a couple of months ago was very active. So going to add this one back to the list. And this one's breaking to the upside without any significant pullbacks just yet. So one of the things I like to look for is when does it overextend itself? What you're probably looking for is one of these massive upside candles on some volume, and then a deep retracement after some consolidation, and then breaking one of these sort of resistance or support levels. So the first one here is 235. I think we can have a look at that one if it takes it back in. Otherwise, you know, I don't like jumping in necessarily to the long when you've had a few parabolic moves to the upside. It's already made a couple of 10% moves from the open here, guys. So watch out Mallinckrodt if it can hold maybe a 235 area to the downside. I'll go position board on for you guys so you can see what we're working with. We got 3 shorts on. Of course, we just talked about IQ. Our last entry point was 92, originally 05, so you'll see the 92 still on here. I'm working into MBRX in front of that 165. That's a 160 average price we have right now, 159.5. And then the last position, of course, is Tiffany's. We're sitting all day long. You know, we're going to make sure that one, and we're out in front of a 129.75 or so on Tiffany. We're looking to work down to 129 even or 128.50 or so. That's been a nice ranging stock the last few days. Mallinckrodt we're adding to the radar, but I don't think I like it just yet.
Yeah, Mallinckrodt, we'll definitely have a look at that one, as well as CGC. Look, we're long at 54. It can't seem to want to break 60 here, so we're just getting out 58s. Look, it's a 4-penny win. We have double the shares we had on this initial spot, but again, 14.50. We're still hoping that holds, and here's 60 right now, so we'll get some out there. Our average price on IQ is only the one trade. You guys can see where that one was. That's this short here, 97. We've been getting it out. I do see some resistance obviously down there at 75, so I've been getting out 78, 79s for, like I said, again, a nice little 20, 25 penny winner on IQ, and that's a nice one. So we continue to go side here as now finally CGC breaks back above, so we get out of 20% of our position now, and we'll hold to see what we can do at 65 now. CGC, Weed Batman is back in the building now. Let's go, guys.
Yeah, we just take a little bit off of that MBRX, and I talked about how you're scalping inside of the range here, so you work that 1 159 half short. Get some of the first initial shares we'll take out for about a 5-cent win. And you can see me sitting here in the bottom end of the range for the rest of our position. And this is a reversal long. We talked about the maybe possible retest in the chat of 180. That would be on a 165 break. You can work into a long fading in front like we did with IQ. That's a reasonable trade. But given that we've done 83 million shares in something like an MBRX, I'd rather play this range and make some money inside of it and wait for the breakout than sit here waiting for a bigger move to happen, because what if it sits in a 20-cent range for the rest of the day on tremendous volume? Make that money. If it breaks out, fantastic. If it doesn't, you're profitable inside of the range as well. So I like to have my cake and eat it too. That's what we're going to do in MBRX as well. I'm looking over here at that IQ. A little bit of buying happening here, Sean, at 15.75. So it's running into a bit of a wall. We did take half of it out. I'm not moving my stop just yet, but it would be reasonable to maybe move it to break even at 16. So we'll think about that as it's basing out a little bit here. But it's now time for Money Talks with Brendan Wickens at the big screen.
All right, yeah, currency time. Let's jump into some of the pairs we like to watch throughout the session. It kind of muted today. We've seen some significant moves with the volatile equity markets over the past couple of weeks. Not a heck of a lot going on today. We do have some US dollar strength kind of offsetting everything else that has been going on as far as economic releases go. I want to focus on the Australian dollar here today, back to 62. Just yesterday we were talking about 60 and change for the Australian dollar. So nice look here, nice little uptick. Back to 62 or above that was a significant pivot if you go back to the end of March. So a nice little level here for the Aussie dollar being retaken, it would appear, back to the upside, about 0.7% for the Aussie. New Zealand up about 0.5% as well. Also back above 60 cents. That got down to about 56, 57 at its lowest. So those two kind of standing out as strong. Everything else a little bit weak because of the US dollar strength. So the euro to the downside back to 108. Our Canadian dollar 71 and change, almost 0.5% at one point, but is starting to crawl back to the upside a little bit. Japanese yen, I noted, did go negative, was positive earlier. Swiss franc as well, kind of hovering around break even, was a little bit higher, coming back to break even as well for the Swiss franc. Cryptocurrencies at the bottom here, not really doing anything again today. Bitcoin still hanging on to that 7,200 level. Ethereum up about 3%, 168 and change there for Ethereum. That was down around 167.5 yesterday. So both of those continue to kind of grind back to the upside. Overall, though, pretty muted for the currency markets today, guys. Back over to you.
Good look there, Brendan. And I was going to say follow us on Twitter there. I put the handles out there. We are long Microsoft, and here's the breakdown of this trade. 164.45 out down here. We talked about that. Then reverse long 164.66 here with a nice out at 96. And here we go. So Microsoft, guys, this is a 34-penny winner. So we go swish again on this one, and nothing but upside here on this name. And oh yeah, by the way, we make everything back on CGC. So yes, sir, here we go. What a great trade this was. Look at this long. Unfortunately, we had to lose on this because, again, we got out here and should not have. We talked about 14.50 being the break. But then we reversed long just as many shares, actually double the shares that we had on this break. Bang to the upside, and here goes CGC, another 23-penny winner, 34-penny winner here on Softy. IQ rallies all the way back, but we've already cashed out, like I said, of that one. So we're going to hold a small position, about 20% of that one as we come back. I'm going to have to run for a couple of seconds, but I'll be back for the trade of the day.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that IQ as well here, Sean. For me, they're going to try reload in front of this 16 even. Initially, we were playing it in front of VWAP, but on this little pullback here, I think we got to get a little bit more aggressive than we were before, because it's tricky to get into this stock. I mean, ultimately, it's had a little bit of resistance, on the way down, and we got a break here of that 16 even, and couldn't even pick up shares in the first 5-10 cents of the move. And again, when it's doing 20 million shares, it's a little bit unexpected. I would think it would be a little bit easier, and just there, I couldn't even get 92s on the way back in. I want to get you guys back to that MBRX, and I know some of you are looking for the fade up. This is why I did not do that move, because you take that short in front of the 165, takes them out at 155 here, a few more shares out there at 151, you're making that profit on the way down, and it can play the range all at once. If it breaks the bottom, I'm short more. If it breaks the top, I'm reverse long. Otherwise, it plays the middle. I'm just making money inside. If you have direct market access, you take advantage of what you can do. Our fees are really low here at Day Trade the World. But, Mr. Brendan Wickens, what do you got, bud?
Another one we were looking at yesterday, pays on the NASDAQ here. Pay sign up again today, 15.3%. Worth noting, this thing did come off quite significantly in the afternoon yesterday, racing a lot of that game. But another 15% move for this pay sign, although we are getting a bit of a pullback at this point.
Yeah, good look, Brendan. I'm just going to work some orders back into the top end of the range on MBRX. That's what we like to do. Did get a bit of an ad there on IQ in front of that 16. Now, remember, what did I say? I want to be net short till VWAP. I'm not lying about that one, guys. I think sometimes when you look at these trades and you start playing with house money to the short side, we made money on the long, and that's great. And then you reverse to the short and you make some coinage there. But it has the potential to roll over, especially, look, if the futures can't make a top and then test that bottom again, a name like this is probably going to get sold off. So you take the opportunity to play that little bit of a trend. If it doesn't break above this 16, like 10, 15 area, then you know you're still on the right side here. So I'm going to be working back into this one to the short side. I think ultimately, you can take some out at 15.65 if it gets there, but you kind of want to be exposed to a bigger flush if you can, whether it's 10% of your position or 25 or 50, whatever you're comfortable with. Just make sure where your out is relative to your risk parameters is going to make sense in terms of profitability. So for me, I'll start working back in the 90s, add more here around 16 to 16.05 where we initially had our entry point, saving some bullets for the tighter to your stop to make sure the risk reward works out for you.
All right, guys. Yeah, and thanks to Jason there. Yeah, we're trying to put on a good show for you. I hope you guys like this show for sure. And it's we're making real trades over 30 years, 35 years of experience between the three of us here, maybe even more.
Easily.
We can give you guys
We're old, Sean.
some experience. Yeah, Neil's really old, so
I got no hair left. Of course I'm old, right?
he's so old he's bald. But we are getting ready now for the trade of the day. That'll be happening certainly at 11 o'clock. Followed by Mish Schneider from Market Gauge. Welcome to her at 11:40. She's got a lot of great ideas. But for right now, Heather Man has a lot of ideas.
Yeah, another one to pass along here, guys. Overstock, a nice look today. OSTK 16% to the upside. Just broke out from a nice little tight consolidation in front of 6. So 6 even got taken, popped up on a volume chart or a volume scanner there. So OSTK off to the races today as well, guys.
Thanks, guys. I was just commenting on how old Neil was. So, thanks for the mic off there, guys, and thanks for appreciating that. But I was just saying we have 35 years of trading experience, so bounce any questions off of us as well. And right now, I'll throw to the board quickly because I'm going to go do trade of the day soon, and then we'll throw to Neil. But right here, this is what I have on board right now, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 positions, 2 longs, 2 shorts. CGC, that's 26 cents in the money. You guys see that? We're still light on that IQ, but we're going to see what happens there at 16. Microsoft's a 50-penny winner, so we smile for that one. And then our TAL, we're just holding that one. There's not much going on there, but those are my 4 positions. And we'll give a couple thumbs up because CGC is the big one. Let's go.
Yeah, watch out for this top, guys. The market came all the way back, wants to retest the highs we saw off of that little open. 26.90 on the ES. That's going to be the big one here. Looking at the NASDAQ, though, up 1.5%, running towards that 81.50. So if you like some of those longs, make sure you have them on your radar, guys. And of course, Sean looking at Microsoft there. I was talking about the opportunity of where you could pick up a Disney on a bit of a bounce play. It's already made its move, but now holding above that 100 mark. If you get a break of the high, that's a nice place to have a stop, a nice even dollar 100 area. So we're going to have a look at that. If we take that 26.90, could be a nice little run, but 2700 is a bit of a big level as well. So maybe you want to scalp some off if you take a breakout long on that high of the day. We're about seconds away, I think, from our European update. From there, we do our trade of the day. We have a fantastic guest for you guys lined up. Can't say that enough. Mish Schneider at 11:40. Get a broader view of the market, some other instruments that we don't necessarily look at. We're heavily equities here. Brandon's going to talk about some of the Forex and some of the crypto as well on a daily basis. But you see us heavily trading a lot of these stocks in the North American markets, but there's a heck of a lot more, and we want to make sure we give that to you. One of those things is our European update right now with Valeria.
Hey guys, welcome to the European update. Well, Europe is back to the negative territory after 2 positive days in a row. Now let's take a closer look as soon as we get updating chart. Sorry guys.
Wrong screen, guys.
the wrong screen. Yeah, now we can take a closer look. Britain is down 1.71%. Germany is down 1.23%. France is down 1.38%. And Spain is down 1.6%. Only Russia is up 0.3%, which is very little bit. Well, some quick news from Europe. BMW car maker announced that they will start to make medical masks for protection of their own workers and for public use. They also extended suspensions of their production until April 30th. Holy Week started, guys, and the beginning of Holy Week usually marked by service in Vatican, which being attended by thousands of people. But that's clear that now due to coronavirus pandemic, the service being attended just by a few people. That's all for now, and I'll keep you updated. Back to Brandon.
All right, yeah, 11 o'clock. Let's jump into Trade of the Day here. This is the segment, if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. This is the segment we go back over one of the trades that either Neil or Sean took in the first part of the show. So off of the open through to about 10:30. Today it's going to be Sean coming up to discuss one of his trades. Join us every morning at 9 o'clock. We talk about all of the stocks that are moving around in the pre-market. We touch on why, talk about some of the news, any kind of significant levels that we're looking at into how we want to approach trading this. Today it's going to be one that I believe we did talk about, Apple, with a good look because of their iPhones and iWatches ranking highest amongst teenagers. Sean, you don't have any teenagers yet, do you?
Yes, I do. I do have a teenager, 17 years old. What's up, Baxter? To that one. So yes, and he has an iPhone. And look, everyone knows Apple iPhones. And look, there's going to be some opinions back and forth. The quality's super high. Their advertising is probably the best out of everybody. So yes, they do have that little segment kind of cornered off there if you're talking about teenagers and whatnot. I know Apple's huge, especially the watch, a big one as well. But okay, forget about that. What we talked about earlier on was Apple with the market. You guys know that Apple has a huge beta to the market. As that market goes, so does Apple, sometimes even more aggressive than the market. What we touched on before, though, was I don't like to get into trades before the market opens, because so many times you get these crazy little movements in the open, and it actually doesn't really even happen today. Here's the open now, very controlled. Normally, I would have loved to go long on this kind of a break right here, which would have been 262.50, 262.75. Unfortunately, though, that doesn't happen. We ease it back and we wait until about, it's only 2 or 3 minutes in. What I'm talking about the first 30 seconds is pretty dangerous. So we wait for about 2 minutes and we get this 263 break. I love trading even dollar breakouts, especially first thing in the morning. It just gives us that one little target to hit. Technically might not make any sense on a chart, but you can see here 263 kind of held here back, and then we made a little run up here again, and then when we finally break, we take the long. Let's see some of these executions, guys. So let's get ready to rock and roll. And there goes Apple to the top side. Like I was saying there, sometimes you get into these stocks a little early. Apple right now with a 50-cent spread on it right now. But there. Wait a minute, what? I was trying to check what time that was. So I guess what we wound up doing here was actually we do get in on that first candle, but we get in light, right? And we're not huge positional-wise into Apple. What we do see, though, in the first candle, and this is kind of what I'm talking about, if I can use my pen, and we can't really zoom in too much here, but the high is 263.50 there. The bottom is 262.50. So that's that $1 worth of wick there that you sort of have to absorb. So if you go in here 500 shares, whatever you're comfortable with, you know, if this level doesn't hold, the next thing you know, you're flushing down, right? And 500 shares, depending on your stop loss or whatever amount of shares it is, you may not want to start your day like that. So you got to really watch out for those market on open orders. So what we do right away is we take some out right away for 30, 40 cents. You're going to see 4 executions here. Again, the red marks are sell orders, right? And so if you ever see purple, you're not going to see any on this. If you ever see purple, that's a short sell. So we're offering those shares for short sell. Here we go long and get out right away, Brendan. Look, the first 30 seconds is crazy. I'm actually happy to take 30 cents.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key point here as well, there's no problem with taking a quick scalp right at the open because of the lack of liquidity. You put 2 or 3 of these types of trades on and you can make your entire day within, a few minutes right at the open. Apple obviously higher in the pre-market, higher going into the open with the overall market on positive news. So directionally, obviously looking for the long trade. Let's go to the next clip.
Cash money as well. Look at these trades, guys. We go 263 long. Look where we're out. 27, then a bunch here at 40. So a nice little win to start the day here on Apple. The day's just getting going, but we've already got the bangers right now, guys. So there we go. So it's not a huge trade or anything like that, but this is why I wanted to use this as the trade of the day because of how it functionally sets up, right? You're going to see these are 3 wicks, bang, bang, and bang, and they all stop at 263.50. So I right away get out of 25, 50, 75% of the position right there. So if you add this up, 30, 50, and 50 right there, we're taking $1 on those positions on a per profit, on a per share basis. So what we wind up doing here, and this is kind of the special thing, and I'm actually not sure if I gave this to Lucas on the sell side, but what we were looking for is, okay, where do we then get out, right? So we know we're long here at 263 even. So what we do is we actually take this pre-market bottom here, and it's actually a pretty good one of 262 even, or no, 262 even or so right here. Once that breaks, we get out. So we go a quarter, let our last quarter run and wind up losing $1 on that one. But look how far the wicks go down, 261.50. And we don't really get too much above this 264 area until just now. And then when we break that, we go upside a little bit. Why don't we run that last clip and just hear what we're talking about, and then we'll go back to the desk. Our Apple trade, we did get out once it did break this little bottom here. We always hold about that 10%. So Apple, very profitable trade for us today, and that is going to keep going. And we'll see, man. The future's dropping back down here. It only winds up net about 40 cents out of everything because, like I said, we lost about 80 cents on that trade right there. So, yeah, 80 cents, give that up. Plus, you take 40, and then that 40 there again. So, we wind up taking between 25 to 40 cents minus the fees there on Apple. So, it's not a huge trade. I just want to discuss that. That's why we don't put on huge risk first thing in the morning. We actually wait to see, let the levels pan out. And today on Apple, man, there's really nothing happening, believe it or not. This is a pretty choppy chart there. Unless we get back down here, 261 was a level of sort of resistance down there. But Brendan, this is about as ugly and choppy as it gets. I'm so happy, though, that we are able to put a little bit of profit in our pocket on Apple and just discuss what we look at the first couple minutes.
Yeah, very easy structure trade. Not necessarily easy to execute, but easy in the sense that there was very clear structure levels going into the open. You play the long through the top, stop goes below. It's very important to note, I think, that Sean was using that lower end of that structure as his out instead of just an arbitrary 10 to 15 cent stop. Obviously, with a lack of liquidity off of the open, something like that is not going to work on a stock like Apple. You have to use that kind of structured level for your out. So great look there from Apple. Lots of opportunities all over the place today. Apple just one of them right at the open. Your trade of the day for today. Guys, let's go back to the desk.
Yeah, fantastic look over there on an Apple. And I know some of you guys in the chat were asking continuously about NVAX here up at the top end of its range. And give potential breakout if it had taken off this 1825 at the top. We did have an opening range top break. That would be at 1825, sort of like a late day or a mid-morning range break to the upside. But I like the consolidation lower than that 1825. And then we jumped into the short. We faded into it. I said in the chat why I wanted to fade in. I just felt like it would be easier to work a position if we did do that. So we took some here initially at 1788, then missed the 1770 break, which is the bottom end. We did add back in on this little pullback, so we're short here at 1780. looking to play off that high of the day. I will continue to add in front of 18 even and see if we can flush down the VWAP to take some shares off. But let's go to Brendan Wickens at the desk. What do you got?
I wanted to mention this earlier, but haven't had a chance yet. Neil, you're mentioning NVAX there. I did post this in the chat, but about mid-morning we had that kind of reversal back to the upside. They did provide a bit of an update right at the open here, right at 9:34, in regards to their coronavirus vaccine candidate. Some positive momentum with that, and they've accelerated their initial first human trials to mid-May. They were initially going to be July, August, now mid-May for trials when it comes to NVAX and their coronavirus vaccine. Guys.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. If you're going to be against, when you do a play against the news, and most of these things that gap up 10% on good volume, or 100% if it's a smaller stock, those lighter names, you want to make sure it consolidates and runs out of steam before you jump into that short. That's why we keep going over the structure here. And yes, I favor these to the short side, but there's always firm conditions under which you're going to take that position. So we have worked into this one at 17.79 is our average price here on NVAX. And I think, look, I had a bid there that it ran away from at 17.50. I'm going to jump back in front of that again and then try to hold the rest, maybe for a flush past VWAP if we can get that. That's going to be a key level because that was the opening range break at 1740. So that's probably going to provide a little bit of resistance on this short. Our other short is still working that MBRX. I know you guys have been following along in this one. We did get out the third leg there. And again, I kept saying to you guys, have your cake and eat it. Play the inside of the range too. We take the short there at $1.59.5. Get some out at 155, 151. We got some more out there at 148, so a 10-cent win there. If it breaks the range, yeah, you can jump back in, play that for more upside. But if it does hold this tight range for the entire day, I'm going to make money and take advantage of 90 million shares worth of volume. And if the break happens, great. And if it doesn't, that's fine too, because we can trade aggressively inside.
Yeah, good looks there. I did want to check out Square here as I go back to Tal and look at that. Okay, so now we're long Square. Look at this move up. Wow. Don't know what's going on, but we take some shares right now at 54. So we take that 50 break. We get slipped to 54. That's fine. Here we go to the upside. Yeah, baby. Nice little 20-penny winner here, hopefully, for Square, resisting the 69. Let's see, 70, 74, 75. Let's go. A quick little 30-penny winner on Square. Let's go, Valeria. What you got?
Hey guys, hello everyone. Well, I want to ask you if you are using Twitter the most as the social media. As I know, all the traders are on the Twitter. So guys, please follow us on Twitter. You can find us at tradertv.live. Follow Sean, follow Neil, and follow Brandon. They post a lot of very important chats with the details of their trades. So I'm pretty sure you're gonna like that. And of course, check out our TikTok. You can find us at tradertv.live as well. We have lots of fun there, and we're on Instagram. Guess what our name there? tradertv.live. And of course, subscribe for our YouTube channel so you receive notifications when we're back on air. And we are live every day, trading and entertaining you. That's all for now, and I see you later. Back to traders.
Hells yeah. Square, big time winner there, guys. I'm glad, hopefully you guys had some of that with me there. Our best out, 78s off a 55 long. So a quick little 30-cent scalp, and there you go, guys. So that's a big win and still going higher. We still are long 40% of our position at 55.54. So there we go. A nice little smile for Square. Our best out, 78, 79. Still going, guys. This is where we're long. Let's break this down. 55.50, we take that break, and now we're 80.81, so a beautiful trade there. Our CGC trade, hello, there we go. So we enjoy some of this as we continue to go long. 14.50, our best out 88, all the way to 95 here. Good little 40-cent win right now on Square on CGC. So good trade there. Let's look to see if it can break through 15, guys.
I worked out of some of that NVAX. I mentioned to you guys in the chat there, a bit of a buyer there at 1760. So we kind of had to jump on there after we saw it hold once. We then hold it the second time, getting out of half. And look, we reloaded on the way down, and I do still like this trade, but I'm probably going to move my stop up to 18 from the high of the day, and I will reload in front of that, but I don't want to wait all the way until 1825 to take this one off, especially if it's going to fail above VWAP and that 1740 level that was so key on the break upside this morning. So that's the new structure on NVAX. Hope you're following along. Brennan, what do you got?
NYMT, we were talking about some of those little tiny mortgage REITs going crazy today. This is another one. NYMT up 47%, just popping up on the volume scanner here. You can see the buying coming in as we speak here, guys. Watch $2. NYMT looking like it might want to break the top as well.
MYMT. Yeah, there
okay,
was that one, MRSN. We had that. I was looking at that breaking through 10. Let's check that out. That does not happen. Here's another big runner that I noted to you guys before. We get up to 10 and we actually do not break it, thank God, because I would have punched that long there. It does not break 10 and falls back down. So this is another one, MRSN. Square back, it does retest back down there before now pushing higher and higher. So Square right now is a beautiful 30-cent winner. So we go disco ball on that one as that's going nothing but upside there. And oh yeah, by the way, our CGC, I just took some more out, 91s there. Here it goes, 92s. We're long CGC right here, 1454. We've got all the winners on for you guys. I hope it's been a good day for you because it sure has been for me. But thank you again for joining. Hit the likes, hit the subscribe, guys. A few changes coming. We're not doing that chat and trade anymore. So if that's something that you guys were looking forward to, we're off the air at 12-ish after we have our great guest, Mich Schneider from the Market Minute and Market Gauge, guys.
Yeah, just looking at that TAL again, guys. Obviously, it was a fantastic trade this morning off that 50-20 level. But just noting on this move up in the futures, which is testing this 2700 on the ES, that's the S&P 500 futures. We're stalling out here just in front of that 52 even, and we had a high. There was a break right off of the open at 52, stalling out at 52.50. So this is a big level here on TAL. It's down 7%. It was under pressure. We love that bottom. This is going to be a fade for me. If we can turn around here and roll over in the futures, we're going to be all over shorting TAL, looking to see if we can run this one back in. It was a wall to the upside. We did try the long initially, seeing if we could break that 52 a second time. Had a lot of trouble doing it. So if we roll over here, this is a place you want to jump into some of those shorts. We talked a little bit about Disney on the way up here, guys. There was that 100 even level. I think on a retrace, it's probably worth at least a bit of a stab here if you can take a shot on Disney. It's still negative on the session, so Disney's still trading below previous close here, despite the fact that we've had this rally in the future. So there is some relative weakness to this name, gives you that same type of play on a rollover. So a couple of names here if we fail at 2,700 on the futures, which, look, it's been a level people have been calling out. Had some trouble initially in the morning. Now we're about to retest it. Make sure you got some plays. Either way, whether it breaks through long, hang on to some of your stronger names like your softies or whatever it might be. In Sean's case, Square. If it rolls over, where are you going short? TAL, Disney, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, we have everything right now, and I'm actually dug into TAL. We took a short here at 57, and then we took another short here at 75. So yeah, we're gonna wait to see this 52 break, which is gonna happen right now, and there it goes, and we are. So there it goes. Fast little trade there, in, and now out of TAL. So that's gonna be only the second losing trade that we have today. The first one is that MBRX, and then we go loser on TAL. I'm thinking about reshorting this one, but it does break back above 52. And we get out 52.09 there, so not a great spot, but that's okay because here's Square 40-cent winner, and here's CGC 34-cent winner to the top side. I just tweeted out some of these charts, so join us on Twitter as well. And again, guys, thank you for the show today. It's been a good one, and I do like all the comments. Keep them coming, guys.
Yeah, and we just had the open. Good note there. We've been waiting very, very patiently for that KROS. That's that IPO on today. It's only done about 100,000 shares off of the open, so it wasn't a gigantic one here, but just looking to see if there's going to be any activity on it. If it picks up, we'll definitely make sure we jump over to it. But right now, I don't see anything too significant. It opens up here at 20.85. Issue price was 16, so it's about 25% above that, just a little bit more. So let's see if it can't hold 20 even. If it doesn't, that could be an interesting breakdown price. But for now, not a lot of volume. You can see the spread here, about 10-15 cents. Doesn't look like it's going to be as exciting as I was hoping that it was going to be. I want to jump back to IQ, which has been a good stock. We did that reload to the short side, first at 92, and then in front of that 16.15 at 16.08. So we get an average price at about 16 even. We then break off to the upside, reversing at 16.20. So you lose 20 cents, then make 20 cents on that long. What we should have done is jump back into the short at that point because it flushes all the way back down. So we're back thinking about the shorts on this name. It just looks incredibly weak at this point. So I'm looking at this one again in front of that 16.15 to 25. It's tricky to get into, but it certainly pays off if you fade in every now and then. But just make sure you have a stop. Right now, it's looking like 1635 is the absolute top. 1625, I think, is a better play if you're shorting in the teens.
Okay, we actually just did take Apple here, 265, so it falls down here 20 cents. We're going to wait to see if Apple can't get going back to the top side here as the market is trying to make a move here. The reason why we took that long, and we're going to have to wait, 2,700 is right here on the ES. So you can see that we are up now 2.2%, and we're trying to touch that 2,700. So let's see what Apple can do here, breaking back above 265. That's the high of the day, 265.19. We're long right here, Apple. Let's see if that one can go CGC long, Square long, and IQ short for the win. Let's see what can happen here, guys. It's a big spot for the S&P 500. 2,700 banging up against it.
Yeah, just looking at that KRS, I'm going to watch closely this 20 even level. There's a bit of a buyer here. It's not that it's a tremendous amount of volume, but I think if we can bounce off that, there might actually be a solid play. I'm going to have to check in on low case to see how expensive it is. And in case we do want to short this name, we won't be locked and loaded, ready to go. If it breaks 20 even, there isn't a heck of a lot on this bid, and liquidity is low enough that I think there's going to be a play in store for us here on this KROS, but it's got to test 20. Right now, it's a buck above that. We're going to continue to monitor that name. A name that we probably should have been paying a little bit closer attention to, Levi's, which had done pitiful pre-market volume, just made a massive break to the upside here through 13.15. So this one looks like it's going to be a runner. Back on the radar is going to be Levi's, up 12% now. Still looking to see if we hold above 2,700. If that does not happen, I am sliding into a couple of shorts to add to the idea of IQ, which we want to get back into in the teens. Right now it's trading at 16 even.
Yeah, so there is the 2,700 break. So let's just wait to see here what's going to happen. We do have some orders upside on Apple. It doesn't, that didn't get going as much as I thought it would on that 2,700 break. We only got up to basically where we got in. Actually, we got as high as 265.20 on that break. So Apple is snooze fest right now, and we'll wait to see what that can do here as the future's resisting and pulling back down. Might be a good spot to average in, but I'm not convinced because Apple didn't go there when I feel like it should have. So we're going to wait to see if we can get better prices now on Apple, but we are ready to throw to Valeria at the big board. Let's go.
Hey guys, here are your daily quick updates in case you've missed. Well, stocks closed lower on Tuesday after a massive rally trading day. Dow closed 0.1% lower. S&P 500 closed 0.2% lower following 3% rally. And NASDAQ closed 0.3% lower after gaining 3% also. Amazon is going to start to use disinfectant fog at warehouse in New York after massive strikes of workers over health concerns during coronavirus pandemic. American Airlines announced that they are suspending all the pilot trainings, including flight simulators and in-class studies. Twitter and Square CEO announced that he's donating $1 billion into Square equity to support the effort with the fighting with the coronavirus. Well, that's all for now, and stay in focus. Back to guys.
Thank you very much, Valeria. You guys were asking about NVAX there. I did actually reload. I talked about moving my out from the high of the day, which I still like as a reverse to the long side, to that 18 even area. And look, it ticked above there earlier, so you have to give it a bit of room. It's not going to be like one of those hard stops with a stop order. I'll let it manually exit once it breaks through 18. I want to control that trade myself, but I'm still looking to take some off each time in front of VWAP. It's a lot of resistance here, support here, down around 17, 14, 17, 50. Ultimately, that's the break you're looking for, and you're counter trend of the markets, guys. So you have to have tighter stops here. Make sure you scalp some profit off, arrows down as we take a few shares off at 1765. So I'm going to continue to work this one, 15, 20 cent wins here while maintaining this core short position as it trends downside. But ultimately, you're looking for it to break that previous 1740 level and get the bigger flush. So that's what we're going to do over here in NVAX. Also still working MBRX to the short side. just reloaded up there as well at $1.60. So we're going to continue to play inside of that range. It continues to just give you profit 5-10 cents at a time, 15 with the max. But if it breaks 145, you got to be all over that to the downside.
Yeah, and we're averaging in a little bit here to Apple. So we're going to see, we're still chilling out down here. I don't know what these futures want to do. We got as high as 27.05 there before faded back in. We're averaged into IQ here. We're just taking a few shorts in this range, waiting to see what it does at 16.10 here on IQ, 23 million shares. So we are short 02 right now. We're long CGC 1454. So that's been good and getting some out now. Doesn't seem like it wants to break above 90 here, guys. So there's that problem. But one thing that's not a problem right now is Square. This is a nice little 70-cent winner. We saw it breaking up here. And again, I'd love to hit these 50 even marks. So 55.50 comes. We bang that one. We get out right away, guys. I mean, this is just a matter of minutes, literally. Each one of these candles is one. Here we go. Let's go Square to the upside. Anyways, as we're going here, it's about $1 winner. We take 55.50s long, scalp it out for about 30 cents or so. Then we take 50 cents, get out right above 56. And now we're going to see if we can't do the same thing upside here. Take a clean dollar, 56.50 or so will be our target out for that name. But other than that, IQ's kind of going against us here. So there it goes. It's going to break above and we'll get out of IQ. But that's all she wrote for that one. So gave a little bit of money back there on the 6.15 break, guys.
Yeah, just have a quick look also at this NVAX. You're going to note that it's putting in higher lows here on a shorter time frame above that VWAP. So you're going to start to think about getting less aggressive on your short position in front of this 18. You're still working as a nice little downward trend after it made that high, which is fantastic. But at this point, this is not where you want to aggressively keep adding in front of that 1790 where I took those 85s. I will not be jumping back in unless it breaks 1760. At that point, I'll think about adding some shorts on pullbacks. But otherwise, I'm just going to hang on to what we have here. I still like IQ, at least for the short term here. I was talking about that 1625 as another level you can use. You can see the flush that happened on the way back in. There was nice consolidation and lots of solid volume on the way in that 5 penny range, 25 to 30. So I'd like to maintain a short in front of that if we can. But you got to watch out. We're holding above 2,700. We talked about how that would be an important thing if we did do that. Where are some places you can go long, guys? Tesla is only up 1% of the day. It hasn't actually, it's about to break through that 550 mark and try to hold above it. But look at the tight range it's had during this entire move at the top end. Now it's trying to break out towards that 558, which is what we're getting at all morning long. 558 to 560 was a key level. If we can break this 550, hold above, take that $10 win. You're only risking down to 547 here, the bottom end. So we're going to jump into some Tesla shares here, see if we can't finally get a move topside after holding this range the entirety of this move up, about 40 handles or so on the ES.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going on with Apple, but we reload down here below 265. We get another chance right there. We buy 92s and we get out 11. So we're just going to wait to see here. I'm still holding Apple for a topside move. I did say that it does have a high beta to the market, but the market breaks 2,700 and this name not going. But we've got 4 winners on. We're holding still small on our IQ. We did get out some there at 12, but now it's breaking back down. So we are short 07 still, but not as big as we were before that flush. So we're going to see what happens here, breaking back down below 99s possibly. IQ just a bouncer right now, bouncing around. We still got our Square, that's 60 pennies in the money. And finally, maybe Apple's going to go. We're 30 cents in the money now on Apple with a long 264.80 right now, long Apple with our last in 264.67. So let's see if Apple can't go. That's 30 pennies in the money. CGC's 30 pennies in the money. IQ is 5 cents and Square is 60.
Yeah, good look there. IQ looking pretty solid. Get back down toward that 16 even level. I think maybe it could be potential add on 16 if it breaks again. There's a little bit of size down there, but 50,000 shares on that little bid. And you can see it's not a tremendous amount when it's done 24 million. And we did just sort of bounce below that. You can see me adding on the way back up. And that's what I'm going to go ahead and favor at this time of day. You're getting closer to lunchtime. I don't like taking those breakouts as much on a stock like this. I'd rather have the better price in front of our level. So we're going to stick with what we got here at 1608 and only short this one on some pullbacks if we can get it. Quickly going to put the position board on for you guys. We're 10 minutes away from our interview. Mish Schneider, fantastic guest we've had a few times here that you're going to love. We're going to throw the position board on and it's going to go, oh, Well, before we throw to Brandon, I'm going to throw it on for you guys. Got a bunch here. Just started a Tesla at 551. I'm adding at 48 in front of that 47 top end range if we can hold above 2,700. MBRX still short at 160. We also have short NVAX 1785. Not adding to that one, guys. IQ also 1608 short. Brendan, what do you got for us, buddy?
Again today, making a move, guys. CAPR, well, I think it was 2 days ago we mentioned this on the show, had a big move to the upside. Look at the volume coming into CAPR here on the upside. 20% now, just broke through 140. Big volume spike. CAPR moving around, guys.
Okay, here we go. We have an 80-cent winner right now on Apple. So we hit the cash register. We just take some out there, 38. We're back into the 50s now on Apple. We're long 264.75. 264, guys. 75. So right now, 80-cent winner. And there it is. We just take it out. This is $1 now in the money as the market breaks above that 2,700, like we talked about that one. So this goes now $1 into the money. And our IQ, we take some out. We're short 07. We got some out evens there. We're going to wait to see if that comes crashing back down, and we'll go short again if it breaks below 99s there. But IQ back into the winning circle on that stock. And yeah, Apple, big time win as we buy these bottoms, guys, and watch it explode through 2,700. The futures Apple, there's $1 for you guys clean.
Yeah, and just looking at Tesla burst up about $1 in the money or so. That's nothing too crazy. I'm still looking at the same structure of this trade. Holding in this range for the time being, and I want to add if we get 48s, but it looks like it wants to go. We're holding nicely above 2,700. I keep referencing the ES, but of course you can look at the NASDAQ as well, which is kind of already, it's taken the top off of that 8150 and is holding above as well, but 8180 is going to be the next shoe to drop here over in the NQ, and that'll help us out with that Tesla trade. I want to get back also to that MBRX position, guys. We're going to keep working this one. It's all about playing inside of that tight consolidation range. But remember what you're looking for initially, and this could happen an hour from now, later on in the day. If it breaks 165 up or 145 to the downside, it's going to be a tremendous opportunity. So as much as I'm playing inside here, shorting it 5, 10, 15 cents, I'm also going to take either of those breaks. Upside, maybe 15 pennies to 180, but the downside has a much bigger potential for you to maybe run down to that $1 mark, guys. So watch that 145 break on MBRX. The volume is approaching 100 million on the day. This gift has not stopped giving, so watch it very, very closely. We love this name. We're getting very close to our guest of the day, but I think we're also going to be throwing to Valerie in just a little bit at the big screen. Before we do that, I also want to get back to one other name, which I've sort of gotten away from a little bit, and that was Mallinckrodt. Earlier in the day, Brendan brought this to our attention, and I kind of put it on the back burner and ignored it. The setups have been unbelievable. Every single pop-up that consolidates, even for a minute or two, has been a big-time flush for you guys. So I'm looking at this level here, 235, where it's bounced a couple of times. If this pops back up 10, 15 pennies, you're shorting this one in front of 250 and looking for another one of these big dips, guys. It's been fantastic setups. Volume's only 8 million, but take advantage of any of these pops. Look at these big sell candles that have been coming in every time it tries to get to the top side. So watch closely on Mallinckrodt.
Yeah, and we're going to just, I mean, there goes Square. Wow, Square, okay. I was just going to say we may take this out if we do get below $56, but we just rip up another 30 pennies. So this is once again, guys, a 70 penny winner. So we have a bunch of them on right now. We have CGC is 45, sorry, Apple right now is 48 pennies in the money. We're long there, 264.75. Actually, you know what? We'll just call up our board again. Why not give you guys a quick little update here as, you know, what we're in the money could change here. But here's Apple. That's, how long does this take to load up? Here we go. Okay, here comes this position board right now. Apple long, that's 45 cents in the money. CGC is a nice little 30 cents, but we're taking that off. It's not breaking $15. So we have been taking off our CGC. IQ, whatever. We're like that one. It's right here. Neil has that as well, I think. And Square is an 82-cent winner. You guys know that's been a banger. So we will run the money on Square. That's been a good one for us today as the market just keeps going through 2,700, guys. We are ready at the big screen with European close and Miss Valeria.
Hey guys, So European market is closed now, and I would like to update you with some numbers. Europe is closing in negative territory today. Britain is down 1.15%. Germany is down 0.65%. France is down 0.68%. Spain is down 1.07%, and only Russia is up just as 0.42%. That's all for today, and back to guys.
Just getting some orders ready to go as see Mallinckrodt coming to the upside. You get that bounce off 235, which it's done a couple of times here. And as it approaches that 250, I want to work into a short position, but you want to make sure you're covered to the top side, guys. So we're going to work into short in front of 250, see if it can't do the same thing that it's done now twice, rolling over, but each time it's gotten a little bit more shallow in terms of the bounce. So we're going to anticipate that and maybe work into a little something 240 to 245 on the short end, and Mallinckrodt finally jumping into the party. I can tell you Tesla is starting to work to the upside as we're holding, like what we're talking about here, holding above 2,700. Want to have some longs on. Only got the initial entry at 551 and change. Right now about $1.50 in the money, but you're looking for a move into that pre-market level at 558. That was that little resistance point, 558 to 560, that we're playing off of this morning and never really got a chance to do it. So now we'll try to run this long into that same level that we liked pre-market, guys.
Yeah, buddy, and we pop a wheelie again. We actually had Harley Davidson on the show before, and we'll have them back hopefully soon, Harley Davidson. But there we are popping a wheelie. And why are we popping a wheelie, you may say? Okay, Apple. Apple now, as you guys know, $1 in the money, and we just took that out, some of the shares out, and we hold 10% here as we buy these dips and then get it out on the top side as we break through 2,700. I know Ms. Schneider is big on the technicals. We'll talk to her about some of these levels. 2,700 is a big one in the ES. Let's see if we can test. I think it was 2,780 or something that we bounced off yesterday. We will take a double check on that one. But here goes Apple to the upside. And by the way, Square resisting right here at 56.50. If we get a chance to go above that, we'll let it break, and then we'll put a stop order to get out on the way down from there. So we'll go see what happens there on Square. I'm okay. We're pretty light now. Again, we're holding that still that 10% on Square. So if it does come back and break down below 56, we will get out. But I have 4 positions on, and all of them are winners right now. So knock. We do have a knock on wood thing here somewhere. If I can ever find it, that would be great. There it is. Knock on wood. All 3 winners. But look at these futures. We talked about it breaking 2,700, and banger to the upside. The ES can hold it today. We're going to see. We all saw what happened yesterday afternoon. Do not be in love with your. There it is. Do not get in love with your positions. We could turn on a dime here, guys.
Speaking of turn on a dime, that's what just happened in TAL through the top. And I only like this one if we rolled back over to 2,700 to the downside. I really like TAL to be able to short it. That's not what happens here. We're still holding the top end of the range on the ES, but it finally turns over. So look, if we turn around, I like this even more, that it's showing so much weakness in this move, despite the fact that we're holding the top end. So you now have 52.80 as your high. I think I might want to work off of that level as we're stalling out just a little bit on the futures, guys. So this is what I'm talking about here on TAL, this top end range. I'll probably work into something in front of that high if we get a chance. Otherwise, I'm looking to add back into that Tesla position at 548 or so in front of 547. That's what we're working with. Also, that IQ, I lightened the load at flat. We had 07.5 to the short side. I just didn't like the fact that we're still holding those highs so strongly. So you can see we're working in front of VWAP. I just take a little bit out here just so that we're not risking as much at this time of day and just digging in too hard. So NVAX is in the money about 20 cents for us. IQ is in the money, but I did lighten the load flat because I wasn't liking the price action on the overall market. So I want to be digging in if we can into Tesla while also working in this IQ short side. If it flushes, fantastic. We'll have a little bit less on. I still have a target at this low at 1570.
Yeah, I mean, this futures, if the market, I guess, just keeps going upside there, yeah, that Tesla, I would love to get it at 548, like Neil said there. That's a good long, if you could somehow get that, but we don't want that to happen right now. Beyond Meat coming upside as well today. That's a big one. This was my number one stock. What year is it? 2020. So 2019, my number one stock to trade was Beyond Meat, and you guys probably know why. That thing went parabolic a couple times on us in that, and that was fantastic. But look at this. So we do have some stock logos. Oh yeah, there's the Beyond Meat one. Nothing but estrogen inside this bun, but there it goes. Cow and Nepa. no steak for you. I had a nice ribeye on the weekend. Thank God it is barbecue season. Get some graphics for that. But okay, off that tangent. $70. This is what I wanted to look at right here. We can build a little ellipse. These are the kind of things, guys, we're looking for. If you ever see anything like this, let us know in the chat, because right here, this is just bouncing. So when you have a stock that's up 4 or 5% today, keeps bouncing, and then you get that futures break, you know you have a banger. So if you ever see something like this, let us know. This is a lot of consolidation here, and it's only about 30, 40, 50 cents for Beyond Meat. So that's a great trade. We did miss it, but I did want to bring that to your attention. This is a great stock to trade, as hello Square, right up to 56.50 again. This is another clean dollar. We just had a dollar winner on Apple. Here's a dollar winner on Square. This damn CGC.
Oh, wow. There goes MBRX. We just got out of everything on a big flush there. So we did have that 160 reload. This took us about a 151 and then 145 again. So you keep playing that range. If 145 breaks, we are jumping into the short on that break. So stay tuned with that stock. It's crossing the 100 million share mark. But right now, we've waited all morning long very, very patiently. And we're very excited to have our third guest of the day. But this one's going to be a banger here. Let's go to Brendan at the desk.
Hey guys, yeah, very happy to have Mish Schneider back with us from Market Gauge. We'll have a bit of a higher time frame look at a number of different markets. Talk about this ongoing virus and some of the things that it has caused as far as demand. We're seeing obviously a little bit of a bounce back in the overall equity markets. So we'll jump right into things here and say good morning to Mish once again. Happy to have you back on the show, Mish. I hope you're keeping well during this crazy time that we're living through.
Yes, we're trying to follow all the rules of socially distancing. I've been going out to the supermarkets every week and shopping for other people. But so far, doing great.
It's obviously a crazy time, unprecedented. I mean, none of us have experienced anything like this before. I was at Costco on the weekend and had to wait out in the parking lot for about an hour before they let us into the store. So, but we're doing what we can, I guess, is the key. Let's jump into the markets here, Mish. Obviously, we're looking at this kind of rally over the past few sessions back into an area where we might consider it running out of steam once again. I noted this morning 20% off the lows now for the 3 U.S. major indexes. What are your thoughts on where we are at this point and where we might be heading?
Well, I think the market right now is really showing a behavioral reaction to hope, which is an emotion that is very strong in the market all the time. Hope, though, of course, immediately will turn to despair if there's any reason for hope to disappear. So right now we have hope. We have hope that the virus might be flattening. New York City, the mayor there came out today and said that the cases were definitely falling in terms of the exponential numbers they were seeing for a week. Worldwide, we haven't really seen much evidence of that. What I see happening with the virus is that it's shifting a little bit, and unfortunately, it is attacking a lot of the minority groups. I live in New Mexico, and the Navajo Nation is having a huge problem right here. But that's just an aside. Essentially, the hope also that the injection that the Fed has done, the high-yield corporate bonds, are doing better today. And also, I don't know if this has anything to do with the little pop we just had, but Bernie Sanders just officially decided that he was not going to run for president. So we've really got a Biden-Trump race going on here. So that might have been a pop for the market too.
Yeah, which in itself obviously is going to make some headlines and move the market. As far as a headline-driven environment goes, how much are you paying attention to? And I mean, we're kind of speculating here. Obviously, this is something that's never happened before. But how much are you paying attention to those actual numbers when it comes to deciding what and where you're going to go with some of the positions that you're putting on?
Well, I always have a fundamental component to everything that I do. So, for example, in terms of the overall market, yes, we're headline sensitive, and that's why we have the volatility. Oil is still under pressure, and that was a huge factor last week with the hope of an OPEC meeting, and then all of a sudden that changed. So you saw an immediate spike on what looked like it was fake news that Saudi Arabia and Russia had come into a conversation. And then, of course, you saw the immediate dump. So that's where the headlines are really affecting. In terms of the general macro, though, I pay attention, obviously, to what's going on. I'm watching the COVID-19 numbers like everybody else. I'm watching for more stimulus packages to come into play. But then there's also, this incredible dichotomy of Wall Street, Main Street still going on. Here's a perfect example. In the last 24 hours, my sister and also a very close friend of mine both got furloughed. So they're now signing up for unemployment insurance. And the big question, of course, is going to be, when do these businesses get to open up? And that's kind of where I think the disconnect is right now, where the hope is everything's going to turn out great. And then the reality could look very different. The economy can really have an impact that's far worse than what people expect. Or in any case, if there's any damage to the economy that is longer lasting than what some of the people who are the talking heads are anticipating, we could see that hope again turn to despair. So that's where I pay attention. But basically I like price. I was born in the New York exchanges, commodities exchanges, where we didn't see news at all, really. We just watched price. And so as a result, to me, price rules everything.
Yeah, I want to get into some of the charts that you sent over to us, TLT, the debts, ETF, LQD, and also volatility coming up here in a second. But I did note, Misha, I want to get your thoughts on this. A lot of people have been kind of pointing to Italy and pointing to also China as far as their numbers go, and we're seeing them kind of slowing. But again today, Italy posting higher cases once again and higher death totals. So, we had a few days in a row that the numbers were kind of stabilizing, and then you see that uptick. As far as a reaction goes from the overall market, I mean it's hard to say, obviously, but how much are we paying attention to what has happened in Europe and what has happened in Asia when it comes to the numbers that we're seeing there?
Well, we should be paying attention. I mean, there's certainly speculation that China hasn't necessarily been all that honest with the numbers that are coming out. But then again, we are seeing a second surge in Hong Kong that has come out. And yet Wuhan has opened up their airports for people to exit the country. So, it's really hard to know, but you're right. I think we should be paying attention to Italy, to Spain, to France, because that is really where things went out of control first. When they peak, it could be, a week or two till we start peaking in numbers. One day information is not a pattern. It's just like looking at charts. So again, there's so much unknown that you have to really kind of pay attention to the reaction to the news and not necessarily to the news. And right now, whatever the news is, the reaction has been, whether it's going to be the Fed saves the day or things aren't as bad as it seems. I don't necessarily buy that, but nonetheless, this is a good time. You guys are doing day trading. That is really the way to go. If you want to really take longer term positions right now, then you will have to be subject to the obvious volatility and that anything can change overnight.
And it's obviously extremely difficult when you go out to a higher time frame to predict, obviously, where we are heading next. Let's jump into some of these charts. I want to talk a little bit about the TLTs, the LQD, and the VIX. What are you seeing in those?
Well, the VIX right now, I'm looking over at my radar screen, excuse me. So the VIX right now is inside the range of last week. And so that's very interesting to me. It was a huge week. I think the low was 39.50 and the high was like 60. And so what you see here is I should have two charts. The one on the right is the weekly chart. So that's where you can see the inside week forming. And on the other side is the daily chart, which of course is still in a bullish phase and coming down into that support. So if we just think about volatility in and of itself, yes, it's come down from the peak high that we saw when we made the low in March, but on the same token, it hasn't exactly collapsed. So I think this is an indication right here. Now, if it breaks down under 39.50, we might see one more swoosh up in the overall market. On the other hand, I'm looking at around 45 as sort of a midpoint to watch. And yesterday, of course, these are yesterday's charts. Today it's trading, it's down, but it's still trading above 42 at this point. So that to me right now is showing that, yes, we're getting a pop on that hope thing, but volatility is not necessarily coming in at this point because it's still not necessarily known whether that's going to be sustainable.
And when it comes to both the TLT and corporate debt, obviously LQD, we've seen some absolutely crazy moves, especially in LQD. How are you approaching those?
Well, LQD has been a huge instrument to watch right now because it's high yield corporate debt. And that is really where the Fed came in and injected a tremendous amount of money so banks could buy it. So those are your bigger companies that's holding the debt of the bigger companies like GE, for example. And so really it's an unbelievable indication. Now the chart you just put up, yesterday, again, as of the close, if you look at the bottom, that's the ratio of the LQD and the TLTs, which of course is just the 30-year Treasury. You can see that in the longer term, of course, it really broke down where the Treasuries were well outperforming the high yield debt. But then yesterday, you can see that it crossed over that lower line a little bit, and that's somewhat of a stabilization. So that's what you're seeing right now, and that's why the market isn't going down at this point.
One of your keys that we like to focus on every time we have you on, Misha, is your economic modern family that you like to talk about. Tell us what you're seeing in all of these charts. I mean, it's obviously a bit of a mess, coming back to the upside. But as you mentioned, we're kind of getting into an area where we might run into some trouble to the upside.
Well, right now, even in the stronger instruments, like in the Qs and in the SPY and in the semiconductors, we're really heading right into some resistance on the weekly charts. But they took off long before the modern family did. What's interesting that's happening today is that in terms of the weekly charts, which I'm looking at right now, semiconductors is back over the 50-week. Well, that's not a surprise considering that the tech has always been the strongest instrument for the last several years. Biotech is sort of hovering here, but also doing better. In fact, it's in a bullish phase on the weekly chart, the only one. And then if we look at the outliers like KRE, which is regional banks, which is very tied to oil, it's still struggling to get through the highs of the recent weeks. XRT retail is doing better today, which is interesting. I think it just got so beat up and so oversold. I did think some of the companies were looking very, very interesting because they were just so incredibly cheap. Like, for example, CPRI, which is Jimmy Choo and Michael Kors. I watched that very carefully. I did not think that those companies would go out of business. So when that stock traded down to around 8, it did seem pretty obvious that that was maybe a good buy. The question is for how much longer. That's really going to remain to be seen. So XRT doing pretty good today, coming back into the lower end of the range from a few weeks ago. And then finally, transportation. Amazon announced that they were not going to compete anymore with United Parcel Service and FedEx. And so what you're seeing right now is IYT getting a little pop off of that. But still, IWM, the Russells, into resistance at 118, IYT into resistance at 145, 33 in XRT, and KRE just has to get through 35. So right now, I would have to say that even with the rally in the SPY, it's just an inside day. The rally in the Qs, we haven't crossed any significant moving averages, and the modern family is reacting well. But right now, it's still telling me that this could just be a rally into resistance. You
had a nice big bright yellow circle around the IWM chart pointing to a little bit of negativity, I feel. Obviously, a lot of these look very similar in the sense that, we had the big move down, obviously, now kind of consolidating, putting in, some technical people might look at it as a bear flag. Do we, get back to the lows in some of these?
Well, what's interesting about that IWM chart is, first of all, one of the reasons why I put that ellipse around it was because people were talking about a V-bottom recovery. But, the reason the economic modern family exists is because, to me, that's really what you have to look at for a true economic recovery in terms of the inside of the U.S. market. IWM does not have a V-bottom. Now, in terms of a bear flag, it only is a bear flag if it actually breaks the pennant. And the pennant break is at much lower levels at this point. Depends on where you draw it. I drew it on the bodies of the candles. You can also connect it on the body of a wicks, which makes it a little bit higher. So if though, and this is why I had a 2-case scenario, it's either a bear flag or if it can close over 118 in IWM, then it looks more like a consolidation, and then we can probably take a look at some higher levels from there. So, that's how tentative this market is. It's almost on a day-to-day basis. And of course, Friday we're closed. So we have one more day tomorrow. And then it's really going to be a matter of how much risk people want to carry over a long weekend.
Let's shift over to the energy markets. Obviously, another group that has been just crushed over the past few weeks with oil prices coming to the downside. What are we seeing at this point? Obviously, we've had 2-3 days back to the upside now for the price for crude. Some of these individual stocks, though, not necessarily participating in that bounce.
Yes. Well, first of all, in terms of the actual future itself, I mean, it's hanging in there, but it's hardly wowing anybody. In fact, again, if you look at a weekly chart of the U.S. oil fund, USO, we're just inside the range of last week. Now, over 6, that would probably look a little bit more interesting. Then I think we can see, a nice big move up to around 8. But on the flip side right now, if this thing breaks down under, say, 475, all we've done really is had that couple of day pop on fake news, and then it starts to go back down. So like everything else, it's in this mixed bag, right smack dab in the middle, living on hope, but ready to turn on despair. And what could possibly make this more optimistic? I'm not really sure. But, the market is future looking. And so maybe the market thinks that in 6 months, this is all going to be resolved. I'm skeptical about that. But, this is the whole idea of being a trader is you have to be very neutral in terms of your own bias. And again, as I said earlier, follow price.
And another market that has obviously been hurt with the headlines. We had the Saudi-Russia kind of price arguments that they were having, dragging down the energy market. But still looking on the weak side overall. I want to make sure we get through a number of these charts here. Let's move on to the dollar and gold and the relation between the two, and also silver. Tell us about those.
Well, we've been long gold and silver now for a while. We've already taken some profits and looking to add. I'm sorry, I'm just got wires here. Okay, so anyway, I'm very long-term bullish in the gold and the silver. What's going to be interesting to me, and we've talked about before, is the idea of everybody looking more for deflationary factors, and when that flips to more of a stagflation, possibly even a hyperinflationary environment. And that's where looking at the dollar and the relationship between gold and silver is extremely important. So right now you look at the agricultural prices and they look deflationary. And that makes sense. I mean, but on the other hand, we have several factors to watch in terms of how this can flip, besides the actual dollar, which has come off the highs. And DXY, I think if it breaks down under 98, that to me probably says that this big attraction to the dollar, where the Fed was actually allowing people to buy dollars and swap for actually not buying debt, that might go away. And then we can start to see what happens with the metals. But the metals right now, gold, there's that big disparity between the physical gold and then the actual futures of gold. 1700 is a huge area there. We tested it the other day and it immediately came off. So that's number one. Number two is with silver to gold ratio. It came in a little bit, but it went down to about an 85-year historical low. In commodities trading, when the silver starts to bring that ratio in, I think we're a long way from seeing it outperform, but if it starts to actually at least perform better than gold, that would be a sign for sure. And of course, I think that's going to be related to the dollar. Now, in terms of inflation, in general, we have many reasons to believe that that could happen. We have a supply chain disruption, obviously because of the virus. What's going to happen to the labor market when this all resolves? The labor market will be less, that's for sure. We've had environmental problems. There's been drought throughout the world, as well as locusts, believe it or not, that are still around, that eat crops as fast as you can blink your eye. And then on top of that, we will have potentially what's already starting in some, especially the poorer countries, is a hoarding of food commodities. So how does this all relate? Going back, you have to watch the gold. I think the gold breaks through 1700. We're going to see 1900 in a flash. If the silver, which is now holding at about, in the SLV in particular, at very good levels, starts to move out back over 14, it's sort of been struggling around that 14 level, good sign for at least the silver market. And then you start to watch the relationship. And then you have to watch the bonds, of course, the dollar. But really, I know I sent you one other chart, and that was at the agriculturals, which I have been watching very carefully.
And it's an interesting area, and I wanted to ask you about the food manufacturers specifically. Is this a sector where you would put a trade on in an ETF, or is it in a sector that you look at an individual name? Because a lot of them have been showing signs of life over the past couple of days.
Well, both. I mean, we actually have a position already in soybeans, for example. It hasn't done anything yet, but it's far from our stop. We gave that a very generous stop purposely because I want to be in it if it turns around and then add to it if it does. But wheat, same thing. Wheat has and again, we like to trade the ETFs in these things only because I have members who aren't necessarily futures traders, and yet they can all trade ETFs. So I like to look at WEAT. If that breaks out over 571, good sign. Like to look at the corn, which has been weak, but if it can get back over 13, CORN, good sign. So that's why I like to look at the basket of that, which is the DBA, the agricultural DB fund. So that's going to be a big key right there.
Fantastic. Mish, I mean, we covered a lot, obviously, lots to look at and lots of opportunities, I feel, still to come in the next few days and weeks as we all continue to deal with this ongoing outbreak and, quarantine and social distancing and everything that is affecting us socially and also the markets in general. Great points as always. Why don't you give everyone your social media accounts so we can get a hold of you?
Yeah, I just want to wrap up because we did talk about a lot, but it's really very simple. Number one is at this point, we all know that in bear markets, which the market clearly is in, we get these vicious rallies. We're rallying right into resistance being the overhead moving averages. In 2008, it was very clear because it broke down right at the death cross or where the 50 crossed below the 200 in the SPY. Now that moving average area is a little bit overheaded around 290. So I think anywhere between 275 and 290 more than likely is a short opportunity. Do I think this market has bottomed and is going straight up? No. Number 2 point is yes, watch the movement into the high yield corporate debt because that at least will tell you what the Fed is doing. And of course, there's the old don't fight the Fed. And then finally, I do believe that the second half of 2020 into 2021, we're going to start to see commodities with a reflation trade, possibly even a stagflation trade. And so again, to me, the better opportunity, if you can ride through this volatility, is to be watching those commodities very carefully.
Fantastic information as always. Mish Schneider, tell everyone how we can follow you on Twitter.
Well, I'm at Market Minute, and I'm very active there. I do answer everybody's questions and make a big attempt to be kind to people who are nervous. In particular, I look at anger as really a form of fear, and there's certainly a legitimate reason for people to be afraid. So I try to approach you with tremendous compassion as a result. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And of course, I'm also on Facebook, Mrs. Market Minute, and LinkedIn under my name, Michelle Schneider. My website is marketgauge.com. And so there's lots of ways to reach me.
Fantastic information as always. Mish Schneider from Market Gauge, an absolute pleasure once again. Stay well in this trying time that we're all dealing with, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Brendan.
There you go, guys. Michelle Schneider from Market Gauge, covering a whole vast array of topics, obviously. Great information from a higher time frame perspective. It's always good to kind of go out and get a higher time frame view of where we are, where we've come from and where we could possibly go to in the near future. As we said, though, I mean, with these headlines, it's going to be tough to call on anything. So shorter time frames, obviously, the easier ones to look at this point. Let's maybe bring in the guys here. We're already over 12 o'clock, guys. So maybe we can do a little bit of a wrap up here as far as what we're looking at. What are you guys looking at? What are your positions at this point?
Yeah, I'm not going to go through everything here, but I did mention in the chat just the futures trying to roll over, so I did make a reversal here, and I kind of said I will live or die taking some of that small cap money on this reversal here in Tesla, and I did put it on here basically even. 45.50 is my price. You got to give it to at least 48.50 before you know that you're wrong, or at least the high of the futures. And we still have a couple of shorts on. That NVAX is still working for us, and jumped into that Mallinckrodt off of 250. But it's been a fun morning. I think there's going to be some MBRX. A lot of these names to still play in the afternoon, so follow along on Twitter as we continue to trade here, Sean.
Yeah, I've been doing just making a mess on IQ. I talked about that, not doing too much here. We do have an Apple long. We do take that long. Same thing as before, 264.50. And yeah, there it is again. I mean, I just keep it lighting up the board here with Apple, including our trade of the day. We had Apple, and now we're long again, another 40 cents in the money. But you all don't want to see us. You want to see Valeria. So what's up?
Hey dear viewers, thank you very much for all of your activity, for your likes, for your comments, for being with us today. You're being very helpful as well, and hopefully we are being helpful and entertaining. Subscribe for our channel. We are live every day from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and if you subscribe, you get a notification when we are on air, so you don't miss anything. And of course, follow Sean, Neil, and Brandon on Twitter. I sent you the link for all of their pages, because guys, the whole trading day ahead, and guys keep posting their trades, charts. You can communicate with them. Very fun. And as usual, I'm saying what national day is today, and today is the National Empanada Day. I've never tried, but looks very tasty, guys.
Never had an empanada.
They are pretty tasty.
Best empanada restaurant in Toronto, anyways, is in Kensington Market. We'll have to get Valeria over to Kensington Market.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do it when things are open back up, obviously, guys. It's been a fantastic one, certainly today. Make sure you guys continue to tune in on a daily basis. We're here at 9 o'clock. We do that pre-market look every single morning. You want to make sure you join us. Fantastic guests as always. But before we get too far away from ourselves here, for the entire team, Valeria doing a fantastic job on the chat, and we'll go down the line. As always, Sean Katina, my good friend, over there in the corner as we distance ourselves here. And for Brendan Wickens at the desk, I'm Neil Roberts, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is tradertv.live, and we will see you tomorrow.